Welcome to the second episode of the Honest Victorian podcast. Today we have Tobias with us. His channel will be linked in the description.
Well, okay. So obviously, Technocrat speaking, obviously they chose the smallest YouTube creator that doesn't made his mark on history yet to introduce this second episode of our podcast. We have our usual suspects, Smithy and Chum. Say hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
And the guest of honor, Toby.
Yay, I'm here.
His actual name's Deborah, for anyone wondering.
Yeah.
This is his social security number. This is
No,
Yeah, I
this
can
is
get you
this
that
is
real quick.
this is
Let me
Toby's real name is
find it.
Deborah.
Deborah.
Deborah. And Chum's real name is not Chum. Believe it or not,
It's Chum. Chum with a
Chummint.
H.
it's Chum with an extra M.
All right, what are we doing today, Technocrat?
I would like to introduce everybody to. Obviously, we know who Toby is, but maybe those listening doesn't. He is a decently sized YouTube channel in the space right now. But if you would describe your own content, your own channel, Toby, what do you do?
I yell at Victoria 3.
True.
That's
Hmm.
a
I've not watched the video, but I believe this is true.
I yell at the game when it
Yeah.
doesn't do exactly what I want it to do, and then I edit it to make me look slightly more sane.
Me too.
Hmm.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know who this Toby guy is, so I can't confirm.
No, neither. I've actually never met this guy ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
Never.
He definitely doesn't pay me £1 million a month just to not,
I would
make
pay
good
you
videos. He's paying me money not to make good videos, by the way.
anything. Yeah, I'm paying you to make bad videos to make me look better.
That's true. Yeah, no, it is. It's true. 100%. For the viewers wondering. That's why everyone's bad. And Toby's the only one getting views right now. Because he's paying us all. Like, what? Look, I'd be on 1 million subscribers if it weren't for him. But, we've got to help a brother out one day,
Yeah. Co-parter.
Anyway, we'll continue with what we were saying.
All
I
right,
don't-
let's begin. You guys read the title. We're declaring war on Paradox.
What the hell?
War on Paradox.
Yeah, apparently Chum hates Paradox, like, as of, like, this.
As of earlier this morning.
No, last week.
Oh, yeah.
Last week, obviously.
I hate Paradox
Yeah.
after yesterday's recording session.
Damn. Let's get into that. Because surely this
Okay,
video is
alright.
out by the time this is released. How was the last recording session, Tobias?
I somehow managed to go to war against myself.
How did that happen?
Oh.
So I was playing as Italy. I had Egypt subjugated. Their liberty desire was high, so they made a war goal for me to transfer Tripolitania to them.
Oh my god.
So they did it, but I could side with them in this war, so I did. So they fully occupied Tripolitania, but the war goal wasn't going down because they had to occupy my capital to get their war score to go down.
Damn.
But I was on their side, so nothing could happen. So you're just sitting there doing nothing.
That's amazing.
And you were playing Italy, I assume?
Yes.
Damn. Maybe we should watch this video.
I mean, it's in the editing pipeline right now, so
That should be good.
Ooh.
Should
Should be
out.
good.
that part got cut out though
Ooh.
because
What?
yeah, it
Oh,
kinda
your video
ruined
was
everything.
fake?
Yes.
Faked.
I faked everything.
You've heard it here today, guys. That's the title of this video.
My next video is
Deborah
literally going to
is
have a
fake.
disclaimer saying I used Cheat Engine because there's a bug in the game right now.
Damn. Yeah,
What
I've
do
had
you
many
mean?
of those bugs in the game. Crashes, corruptions, and stuff.
No, you
Paradox-
can't you can't take the capital and release a subject that would contain the new capital as of right now
Oh,
because it's just bugged.
What?
I don't understand what you mean. Paradox never releases bugs in their games.
Never. It was a bug that got fixed and then has wormed its way back into the code.
The
Somehow.
bug is rebugged.
Wow.
Damn. Never heard of
They
that one
rebugged
before.
it.
Maybe someone really missed the bug and they brought it back. It's usually what happens to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tobias, have you got any complaints about Vicky 3 that you'd love to explain?
Complaints. The warfare system, specifically when it comes to enforcing peace deals, is garbage.
Yeah.
And this also ties into my recording session yesterday. Okay, so Italy. I declared a war to unify the peninsula, which declares war on Austria because they hold Italian states. I had France on my side, and I had Russia on my side. Austria had nobody. So, in theory, should be an easy war to win. And it was. The problem arose because Prussia took opportunity in this to also declare war on Austria. And they declared war for the states of Moravia and Austria, which kind of like cuts down and then leaves Bohemia just like there. So what happened was Prussia blitzed in, took the capital before I could get it, so they enforced their war goals first. That means their war ended first and they took those states. Their new capital was in Bohemia. I occupied every single other state Austria owned besides Bohemia because I physically could not get to it because it was isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat in war for 30 years because they would never give up.
That's crazy.
27 million Austrians died in that war.
Oh my god.
just because of the
27 million?
devastation. Yes. Like,
that's
actually,
their whole population, isn't it?
over half their population died because they wouldn't surrender.
I want to see that graph. That's crazy.
That will be in the next video.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you should go watch that. By the
Yeah,
way,
so,
I just loved the YouTube voice that we got there. Like I was like loving it. We got the
All right.
so this. Anyway.
Anyways, let's move on. So you say the war system could do better, right?
The peace deal system.
The peace deal system. Oh, so
The
okay.
war,
So how do you?
the-
Okay,
ahead.
keep on. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the war system itself could still use some fixes, but the peace deal system is more pressing in my opinion.
That's interesting.
I would agree.
I didn't even realize the peace deal system was much of a major problem because
It's awful, dude.
I know it's bad, but like I didn't realize people were being vocal about it. If that makes sense.
The main problem is that you can't capitulate someone unless you take the war goal. So it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
I tested it
That's
out
awful.
in a war against China as Britain, and because the war goal required me to take their capital, I occupied every other state besides their capital just to see if they would ever give up. And it took them like 50 years to. And by that time, they legitimately
hell?
lost like 80% of their population before surrendering, which I do not think is legitimate at all.
Dang, that's cool.
Toby makes some of the like
The-
craziest videos, by the way.
I know that's. Cool,
This is
dude.
why he gets the views. It's like he's just casually like doing this kind of stuff.
Killing all the Chinese
Casually
people.
committing war crimes.
Yeah.
He's genociding the Chinese.
Exactly. I committed war crimes in Victoria 3. Here's how you can too.
Wow.
Like Victoria 3
Oh.
along with CK3 is the best quote machine of all. Like it's like I'm gonna invade America and I'm gonna use the African slaves to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought back the slave trade many times. I mean, no, only once. Trust me. It was
In
fun.
real life?
In both.
Oh, yeah.
No,
But yeah,
no.
I think
Don't clip. Don't clip that.
yeah, I think there needs to be a rework to the peace deal system. Either A, have, because you know how like right now if you don't have every single war goal, their war support won't go below 0%.
Yeah.
That is stupid. I think
Yeah.
that if they really want to go with that specific system, make how low the percentage can go be based on how many war goals you occupy. So
That's
if you have
true.
50% of the war goals, you can go to -50.
What
You
about if each war goal had like a number next to it that then went below 0? if that makes sense.
That could also work based on
like-
like the weighted war goals.
Yeah, not necessarily war support, but their acceptance, like, of just giving it up based off the value of the state or something like that. And
Now,
obviously your
what
occupation over it.
What I would personally do if I could rework it myself is ditch the war support system altogether in favor of a radical system and a political lobby system. So
Yeah.
have a political lobby to end the war.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
as the war goes worse and worse for them, it gets more support. And if they don't end the war, they go into civil war. Because that is like
Yeah.
historically precedented.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
genius.
That would change and that would give you real fear of going to war, because it's not just
Mhm.
going to be, oh, we're going to sit here, loads of people are going to die. Obviously that's not a good thing, but like if your country's going to split in half and you're going to have some actual problems, then like you're going to think twice about just a stupid little war.
But
Yeah, and then like
sorry. go on.
I was gonna say, and then like as the war goes like worse and worse, it could like damage your legitimacy of the government or something because people lose faith in it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how they do it in like EU4 and stuff, right? Like, I mean, it would give the player agency to how far am I willing to push this war,
Yeah,
instead of right
Yeah.
now, because now the game just decides that, well, your nation or your people or whatever it is, the abstraction is, they had enough, so you will capitulate, even like you have no choice.
Yeah.
Like if you can do that in EU4 as like you can technically go to war for how far you want, but like you're going to have increasing penalties just building up, and like how far can I push it? It's just this balance thing. So that
Yeah.
would be I'm in total agreement with you. That would be a much better system.
yeah. No, I love EU4's peace deal system. That's like one of my favorite aspects of it. Is just
Yeah.
like you can take stuff based on how much you've occupied, and you never get forced out of the war, which is really nice from a player's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can
That
get
always
really
annoyed
painful
me.
to stick in there, but like you're never forced, like hard forced out of the war.
Right.
Yeah. Because when I went from Hearts of Iron 4 to this, it was so painful. It was like, how come I constantly lose these wars, even though all I'm doing is like what I'd normally do, kill the economy, kill loads of people, and but obviously it makes sense why you'd just quit the war, but why isn't it a decision to like not have just angrier population and like bad war support? Why does it just immediately capitulate you? That's what I'm trying to say.
I really do feel like Victoria 3 was rushed for development. Like, there's a lot of systems that I feel like should be in the game that just aren't.
Yeah. Give
And
us
I
an
feel like-
example.
The peace deal system. It's not fleshed out in the slightest.
Yeah.
It is literally like the most like this will work solution I've ever seen. And I'm trying to think, like the original warfare system, the naval invasion system, diplomacy, just everything feels so underbaked.
True. Well, what's your opinion? Because it's obviously improved, there's been updates, but do you think that there's something that still... No, not something. I mean, do you think there's something... Bro, what am I trying to say? Do you think they did a good enough job so far?
I like the work that they've put into it so far. I'm trying to think of what else they've actually updated. The war system is a lot better than it used to be. The diplomacy, like sway system, where you like sway people to join your war, is a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah.
I still wish you could pay like lump sums of money to like either convince someone not to join a war or convince someone to join a war.
Mhm. No,
The agitator system feels really
rushed.
underbaked also.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea, but I I don't know. It just doesn't feel good to use, I guess. It feels super RNG and like, oh, I might get the guy that I need to pass this one law. And like
Yeah.
the most practical sense I see for an agitator is when you really need to like
Push
modernize in
something
the beginning.
through.
But you can't get agitators if they're discriminated against. So if you need to pass like
Yeah.
an anti-discrimination law, you can't get the agitators that you would need to pass said law. So you
Feels
only
really
get
weird,
them late
doesn't it?
game after you don't need as many laws. So it just
Exactly.
feels pointless.
You got the interest groups already, so what's the point?
Yeah. And that's how a lot of Victoria 3 feels. Like the tools that would be beneficial for like building up a small country are only given to the big countries. So like your interest rate gets lower as you become a stronger power, which makes sense like historically speaking, but from a
Right.
game perspective, it only serves to make the strong stronger and
Mhm.
harder to catch up as a small nation. Same with
Yeah.
power blocks where you get a big cohesion hit for being a small country with a power block.
But then they did update it and they made it so that smaller countries could make power blocks because that was my
They made
main
it so that
minus.
unrecognized powers could do it.
Yeah, but it was still really annoyed me when it first released that they'd remove like custom unions and like you couldn't really
Yeah,
do much with the markets. But then when they brought in the fact that you could now make the power blocks as a smaller country, it kind of balanced that out, but it's still not perfect.
see,
But-
I want more options for small countries. Like I want to
Yeah.
be able to play as somebody like Bavaria without having to solely rely on somebody like Prussia or Austria to win wars for me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was really hoping power blocks would be, is that you'd be able to like create power blocks with other small nations about the same size as you to like do
Oh, yeah,
something
right.
bigger as smaller nations. But the
Right.
game is like inherently built to disincentivize that because
Yeah.
you can't invite small countries to join your power block if you're also a small country, because the big power blocks will out influence you.
Out
You
leverage.
get the cohesion penalties, so you don't get mandates as fast, so you don't even get buffs as quick, which the buffs would be much
Super
more
useful.
helpful for a small country.
Yeah. That can't afford extra like stuff to make them better.
Yeah.
Right.
That's yeah. Already like
that's
another
what,
opinion. That's so good.
Yeah, that's what Smithy was talking about last podcast, last episode is like we were talking about a modern day mod, and one of the power blocks could have been like the EU. So it could have been like a treaty, like an organization, rather than like oh, you guys are in my sphere of influence type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what you're getting at there, where it's more like
An
it
agreement.
can also be more of like an agreement, like hey, we will all do this together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
like equals than based
Yeah.
around one hegemon. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
one
Yeah.
person's the, powerful one, and everyone else is just sort of there
Yeah.
to sort of support that one major country.
Hmm.
I think it's still better than what we had before, which was nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it does feel like there's something extra that could be there, and they didn't implement it because they either didn't think about it or because it wasn't worth it, or they didn't have enough time or something like that.
Victoria 3 feels to me like the design philosophy is smaller nations are not meant to be played, they're meant to be chess pieces. Like
Mm.
True.
they are tools for the great powers to like take advantage of.
But that's kind of historical though. You gotta see it as that sense. Because like the US would have, well, if they did, they would have bullied Africa, right? So
Yeah. Well, they
Like,
bullied South
yeah.
America.
true. But I do think that there needs to be, like, within all Paradox games, some level of ahistorical gameplay, because otherwise the entire gameplay gets boring. Because you can
Yeah.
play a nation once, and then what's the next thing you do? Because you can play all the nations, but at some point it gets dry, and then you leave, and then you don't play anymore.
See, that's the problem right now, is that there's not enough flavor in the game to make nations fun. Like, I I hate playing as great powers because they're so
Yep.
boring. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Like you maybe get like claims on certain states and it makes it a little bit different, but for the most part, it's just build the economy the same way every time because there's like one fundamental way. Go capture the states you need for late game resources, and then you're just good because you know
Right.
how to build an economy better than the AI does. And unless there's some specific reason to play as that country, you might as well play any country.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. That is insightful information right there.
What
We
the
we
heck?
talked about that last episode as well. Like the game feels hollow, like you said.
It
Like
does.
Empty,
like
yeah.
you just like you said, you build the same buildings, you do the same. Like doesn't like Swedish steel or German steel and or whatever it is. There's no difference in the game. It's just numbers on a. You don't feel like you're changing your country that
He was
or
about to say a
creating
spreadsheet.
different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. See, honestly, in my opinion, I think they've got power blocks backwards. I think it should be harder to get mandates if you have more countries in. Because,
Yeah.
like,
Ooh,
I mean, think
yeah.
about it. If you are running a great big power block and you have, like, half of all of Europe in your power block, it's going to be fundamentally more difficult to implement, like, any laws or changes that you would want.
Yeah.
So, but in Victoria 3, it is like the more countries you have, the easier it is to implement like buffs and changes that make you stronger.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you go from
So
just the EU, for example, like it's gonna take like with all those different countries, there's gonna be a lot of opposition, a lot of different views based off of each country's circumstances. So I guess you're
Yeah.
right. That could have some extra like flavor to it.
And then it would also like how EU4 has its ideas system
Yeah.
where you pick a certain list of ideas to attribute to your country and then you get those buffs throughout the game and then if you want to try something different, you got to restart and play again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what power blocks could have been for like major powers and like below. Like they get their little buffs that help them like catch up and actually make something out of themselves.
Right.
Hmm.
But
They didn't
and then like
bother.
the fact that all the mandates are different levels and you can't have every single one in one go. So like, oh, let me try this out. Let me try this out for this country.
What do you think about the mandates? Like the actual ones
I
they
like
have to
them.
for offer?
I like them. I think some of them are like overpowered, especially because it's easier to get them as a great power.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm.
I feel like there needs to be more selection. That's my only thing. Because
Yeah,
it,
adding
Right.
more would be good.
I
Well, yeah.
understand.
Here's what we were talking about last episode, and I want to hear your input, Toby. Some of us feel like the mandates are more so they're kind of just like modifiers and kind of gamey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
So
are.
how do you like? Yeah. Do you think there's a better way to implement like the mandates or like what do you think about that?
In my opinion, I prefer things to be a bit more gamey
Ooh.
because I mean it's gamey is in my opinion more fun. Like if you think of what's a good example? The Victoria 3 has a lot of realism to it where like you change a law, you don't get that benefit immediately. You have to like wait for that to start, flowing in.
Mhm.
Like what's a good example? Like you build damn, what is a good example?
Here you go. You change a taxation
Uh,
law, and all of a sudden you got loads more cash.
That is true.
That's
That one's instant. But that I guess that makes sense.
I think you mean like maybe the health system where like you enact health law and then you have to go for the institutions, like you have to raise
The
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 levels.
inst-
Maybe.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah. What do you
I
guys
just
think
more
of
so,
institutions? Like what
I like
Toby thinks,
institutions.
because I think
I
they're
wish
quite
they were more
nice.
varied.
Yeah.
The problem with institutions is that there's like one that's good, one that's not as good, and one that just is bad in a
Mm.
lot of those tiers. So like you take something like health insurance. the charity health insurance sucks. The private one can be pretty good, and then public is usually just best, barring a few like.
Do you hear
late
that,
game where
Americans?
Private becomes better again.
Do you hear that?
But yeah,
Public
is it
healthcare
American?
is better. Anyway, I'll there you guys continue.
I mean, this game is pretty partial to like late game. You're kind of supposed to be communist.
Yeah.
The game
Yeah.
lends itself to be that way
To no, sorry.
because it is kind of it feels like the thought of gameplay loop wherein you use the capitalist to get strong. You build like the trade unions get clout when you get socialism. You get a lot of like high literacy and people get high wage, and so you eventually run out of people, so you want high standard of living, so you want more immigration. So the best thing you could do about that is become communist and introduce co-ops, and all of a sudden your standard of living shoots through the roof and everybody wants to move to your country. So it feels like a thought of like
A natural path.
pathway. Yeah, like a this is the way you're supposed to go,
Mm.
which I think that reduces, like, it removes fun from the game, because like
It does.
because it gives you the illusion of choice. Like, look, I can do a capitalist run or I can do a communist run, while in the back of your head that like this is suboptimal. I'm using a worse path, liksom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but suboptimal sometimes fun. You gotta give like anarchy sometimes is a little bit of fun. I'm sorry.
And anarchy is the only way you can unlock multiculturalism, which is the best law in the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Multiculturalism
like
feels too locked away.
it does,
Like, how come?
in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand why you can't get it under like certain things, but when you're like parliamentary republic, surely at that point you can get multiculturalism.
Yeah, that's how they used to do it, and then everybody abused it. But then they had to nerf it to the ground. Maybe a bit too much.
That's fair. But
I feel like from a game like design perspective, I wouldn't be so worried about like nerfing things as much as I would be just adding new tools to like
Right.
do more stuff.
yeah,
Because that is kind of like the problem with Victoria 3 is that there's one way to play the game correctly.
Right.
And it's literally what you were talking
Yeah.
about. Like you
Yeah.
just go down this path to see how quickly you can get to communism.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes the game lame. Like if there's only one end goal, it sucks. It just does.
no, it's true. It's true. Like, you've got to. If there's not multiple paths, then the game becomes very dry, very boring, and the game will just lose players, which is
Mhm.
pretty obvious by the amount of players that do play Vicky now than on release day, because people realize that the game actually isn't as good as they thought it was going to be, or something about the game isn't right. And I reckon a lot of it is down to the fact that people don't have as many options as they do in other games, especially like,
Right.
not that I
Yeah.
played much of E4, but E4 has loads of options. CK3, that's getting more and more options as
Yeah.
every time I play. Like, you've now got the
Mhm.
plague, like, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Hoi 4, you got all the templates. You can literally change that up every time. You can play without, and like, I don't know. It just feels like Vicky needs some more of that
Right.
extra stuff that you can either forget about one game and the game still be like good, or you can do it another game and the game still be. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's my issue with Victoria 3 is that the gameplay loop is kind of like there's nothing to do. Like if it, like you could go to war and stuff, that's all good. Even though the war system, in my opinion, is kind of boring.
Yeah.
You
it
just
is.
click. Yeah.
Mm.
But I think also the gameplay loop is you just sit there, you click buttons and wait for stuff to build.
Mhm.
And I feel like there could be something to do within, like, while you're waiting for it to build, like we were talking a little bit earlier, like what if there's a system where you can, I don't know, like play with taxes specifically, like instead of and that's a whole different, that's like last episode, but like there should be better ways to control, like to be able to influence your country more minutely instead of just like a over like high view of your country. Because otherwise you're just sitting there waiting for your people to do stuff, and you're not actually doing stuff, and it just gets
Yeah.
boring after like how many games you play. Like you're just sitting there building stuff, and here you do the war, occasionally every so often. But for the most part, you're just sitting there building, and it gets kind of stale.
I think they intended for that in between to be like working with like government laws. And if you've noticed, I swear the last update added so many more like pop-up events.
It did.
Yes,
It did.
dude.
Yeah.
I think they
Yes.
were trying to like make that the
Uh-huh.
thing you do, and I hate it.
I hate
that
pop-ups.
so much.
Pop-ups, like, even though they're fun in some aspects, like, especially CK3,
hate
that annoys me because
Yeah, I
it's
hate them.
like you're expected to read it, but all I care about is what the 3 boxes or whatever at the bottom say, and that's all that matters, really. But
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you just look at what it gives you.
yeah, exactly. Does it
modifiers.
give me extra
That's
20% enactment chance? Yes, please.
Yep.
Like, I don't care that it says, oh, so and so has done this or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with politics, they say like what you said, like so and so have done this. Like they killed somebody. They assassinated somebody or something. I feel like that should be represented not in an event or a pop-up window, but it should be represented in like the character interaction screens. Kind of like CK3, but not so much like in depth like that, because
It's not the same game.
CK3. Yeah, but like for example, like if someone is trying to like, I don't know, like go against your passing of the law, like the landowner, the leader of the landowner's owner, for example, like you should be able to interact with him during, because this is peacetime, you're trying to do laws and stuff instead of just getting a pop-up event choosing what you can do, you know what I mean? Like maybe you can pay him money or something to give you plus 5% enactment chance or, whatever. Like instead of just arbitrary choices.
I think I see what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
you actively go for
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
trying to get
exactly.
the things that you want.
Exactly. Instead of just sitting there waiting for events, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I am not a big fan of random events. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't
never
think
really
there's
have
many
been.
people that are. Because
I
they
can't tell you
don't.
how many people I've tried to get into Paradox games that get so upset at the random pop-ups that are bad. Like especially like the Comet event in EU4.
Yeah.
Oh,
Legitimately rage quit over that.
dude. That's PTSD right there.
Because it doesn't feel good to get a bad event. It never feels good. And it doesn't feel like you did anything to deserve that. It just feels like the game's throwing you, just to
Yeah.
fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and it like, what if you just like don't do those events and like the -5 enactment chance, for example, and instead if you put it inside like of a character's like, I don't know, stats or like actions or whatever, it's gonna be so much more rewarding. Like and like
Yeah.
you kind of deserve it, like if like for example, let's say the head of the opposition has been like undermining you for the past year or so, like instead of it feeling random, it's kind of like, oh, you kind of deserve that, because you didn't deal with that.
Do
But
you-
instead, the way it is now is you just could randomly get, these awful events, and it's just so frustrating.
Do you think the pop-ups would work better if it didn't give you the tooltip to tell you exactly what it's going to do? Because
No.
because I'm
I feel like it'd be
curious.
worse.
No, because I know it would be worse for people that just want to skip through it, but if you actually had to read it, then that's the same effect as Chum's saying.
No,
Because-
If you
that's
had
not
to
what I'm
actually
saying.
read it, then it would just slow gameplay
It would.
to a crawl.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, for example,
You're just saying you have the option to do it when you like.
well, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like,
Sorry, I must have missed
have it
something.
so like the politics system is like you can see how the characters are acting, you know what I mean? Like they actually have like, I don't know how to explain it, but like just make it so like it's not so random.
Yeah.
Like I don't
No,
know how
I
to
do
explain it.
get what
I
you
think
mean.
you know what I mean.
It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of a random event saying, "Do you want to bribe this politician?" Maybe there's a button that says like, "Do
Let
you
me
want to
bribe
try
this
to bribe?"
politician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want to try
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
bribe this politician? Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of like the event giving you the plus 5% enactment chance, just have the person's actual like opinion towards your government or laws or whatever be like counted, you know, and you just want to bribe them to raise that.
Yeah.
That's
Like it's just much more fluid. I feel like instead of just like, oh, you randomly get this
fair.
enactment chance, malice, blah blah blah.
I'm just
And, like-
envisioning more of like a CK3 style from what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Same.
The thing
Just
is,
replace the interest groups with
Yeah,
your,
I don't-
like cabinet or whatever.
yeah, because they have characters already, right? Like,
Yeah, they
That's
do.
fair.
why don't you utilize your characters? Why do you?
Because
have
the
it in
characters
event,
really all you can
know?
do is just get rid of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you
Yeah.
can like, I mean, it's just frustrating to me. Like, I made
I
a
mean-
video on this too, and
And also the most frustrating thing I think is that they kind of this system they kind of dangle them like in front of us like they should. It feels like it should be there.
Yeah.
Like all of the characters have already they already have personalities. They already have traits.
Hmm.
yeah,
And,
exactly.
and they are utilized. I don't know,
Poorly.
in war, like maybe, or like when does a cocaine addiction becomes ever relevant other than large
That's
numbers?
fair.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have the systems in place. Like that was the previous discussion where we had about the war. Like I thought that the whole point of the radicalist system was that well, obviously people gets radicalized by losing wars, by losing like taking casualties in wars and stuff like that, war exhaustion, something like that. No, the radical system is completely separated from the wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Toby said, like the system itself, like it lends itself extremely well to obviously the war should increase radicalism or something like that. Like war exhaustion, people gets more upset, like like national pride is hurt, something like that. But no, it's completely separate systems. So not only are the systems not there, like they are kind of they're baited. Like it's like they are
Yeah.
dangling in front of us and saying that like, this could be a thing, but it isn't, which is I think
Yeah.
more frustrating than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you know how I this is how I see Victoria 3 as its current state is it tries to like pass itself off as like a big wide ocean, but it's actually kind of shallow. Like
Right.
when you get
True.
to really know the mechanics. And that's kind of sad because I love Victoria 3. But that's just how I see it because they have all these mechanics that are like, oh guys, we promise this is so big, like this all intertwines, and I'm sure it does intertwine, but the level of depth that it goes to isn't like that far at all.
No, you're right. It doesn't really go into the depth that you'd necessarily want from
Yeah.
a game that offers so much. Like it's the Victorian era. The economy. It's obviously the economy was like they spent time on that, and that shows like it's detailed, but there's some things that's still missing. I think we spoke about trade and stuff in the last thing,
Yeah.
but what was I saying? Oh well, you guys continue.
Yeah, but like I said, the most frustrating thing is that it is incredibly deep, but like they somehow made some choices to like, well, okay, it's going to be very in depth, but the player will never experience that.
Yeah.
Like we have revolutions, we have secession movements, we have a whole like we have a whole trading system. We have this whole like pop like what type of goods different pop demands on different like standard of living, like wage levels. But this is
Yeah.
never like this cannot be interacted with meaningfully with the player. The
Yeah.
player just plays the game and are none the wiser because they don't need to interact with it.
Guys, I'd just like to say we've constantly berated Paradox for the last like couple of hours. Should we talk about some things that we think they did well?
I mean, in my personal opinion, I feel like a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily like the developer's fault
No.
as much
Right.
as it's like a marketing, not marketing, but like a business strategy
Right.
where
Some
you
higher
can
up.
sell something better if you could claim, oh, it does all this stuff, but if it doesn't do any of that stuff well, doesn't matter because it's all about getting the sell.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
that's
true.
exactly why I feel like Victoria 3 does all this stuff and is like, you can imagine how it could be better, but actually implementing that, are they gonna are they gonna pay someone to A, make this one system work a bit better, or B, introduce an entirely new system that they can hype up and sell?
Oh,
Right.
that's very true. That's very true.
It's a business
Yeah,
decision.
but the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of players are put off by their lacking of like complex systems, and I feel like it would be a good investment for them to fix them or like make them better at least.
Well, see,
Because I
here's
feel
the
like
thing about that is that really the only thing that matters is the sell of the game and the sell of the DLCs.
Realistically,
If
he's
if the
right.
DLC
frustrating.
makes a promise to
Mhm.
add this new cool thing, you're gonna buy it because you want the new cool
Yeah.
thing. And that's not
That's so
and that's not even
frustrating.
like the developer's fault. That's literally just business.
That's
Yeah,
how it
that's
is.
that's really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, here's like I'm not a businessman, okay, but I feel like bringing the already like the people who have bought the game and aren't playing anymore, bringing them back to like I don't know, make the game alive again is a good move. You know what I mean? Like
In
because that
theory.
first off that would nurture like the mod community, everything here, and then like people would come play the game because it's a good game. You'd get more trickle like
Actually,
sales. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, I see what he's saying because the
Yeah.
issue Paradox have right now is that people don't trust the release state of any of the games. Imperator,
Mhm.
Victoria 3, the two of them have been, for a lack of a better word, shit. Because
City Skylines 2.
forgot about that one. So they release them either too early or in an unfinished state, and then rely on people to be too engrossed in their games and or have no other game to play that they then buy the DLCs on a later date.
Mhm.
But they go through a ton of issues within that time before the game gets good. Like realistically, it took them like a year and a bit, right, to get Victoria 3 to a point that should have been the release date, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that extra time, no one would have complained if it was released in the state that it is now. There would have been complaints, but it wouldn't have been don't play the game. When the game released, I was told, well, no, I wasn't even told. I played the game, I went, nah, not playing that. Like, it was as simple as that. Like, I wanted to play it, I bought it, but they lost my interest. And then what happened is that I didn't buy the future DLCs because I didn't think the game was worth it. They literally had to shelve Imperator because people lost so much trust in it. So
Yeah.
there you go. Like something has to change. Their business model is obviously worked in the past, or they wouldn't be at the size they're at. But I don't know, there's something's wrong with it. Anyway, sorry about the rant, boys.
Yeah, I do think their old
it's true.
business model was much more money focused than actually making a good game focused. And like say again, I don't think that's like the developer's fault.
No.
I think it is just like your boss tells you to do something, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Technocrat was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last episode we speculated that like because if you look at like the game files, like if you look into Victoria, and there you see there's a lot of complexity there. Like the framework is there for a lot more complex systems. Like there's a lot of things going on under the hood, so that it could easily be more. But it feels like almost that somebody put a lot of effort and time and made it complex, so some really advanced simulations, and then some late stage decision in the development process, somebody said like from high up at that, well, no, this can't be that complicated, we simplify it, please. And then they just did that, and then that was released. Like Victoria has this whole system for clothing that different characters can change clothing depending on wage level or culture or whatever. They
Mhm.
had there's a like I mentioned before, the whole system of what goods different pops demand on different wages, like what goods are interchangeable and whatnot. There's this whole system about like there are different types of taxes, land taxes, income taxes, consumption taxes, but they are all bundled together in the same tax meter. You can't change them individually. That's like a change that would require 5 minutes of modding. But it just feels like somebody said that, well, no, that's too many buttons. It's too complicated. Don't overwhelm the player base.
Yeah. Now, Victoria 3 does kind of feel like it has a split identity where it's trying to be both a super complicated, like, economic simulator and a game, I guess.
Yeah, a game for everybody. Like like anybody can pick it up and
Mm-hmm. Victoria 3 is not a game anybody can pick up.
right.
It,
But it tries to be, because like it was like
Mhm.
this is not Victoria
Yeah.
2. Victoria 2 guys, you
Yeah,
can play,
that's so true.
you can play this. Don't be afraid. And all of the Victoria 2 players just freaked out because don't destroy my game, please.
Yeah. I think that's the issue with the game idea as Victoria 3. Like, you can't cater to both. As like, I think you need to like double down. I'm
you
not.
need
I
to
mean,
do
I know what
one
they're
or the
going for.
other.
Yeah, I know what they're
Right.
going for. They're going for like a more general audience. That's the whole strategy.
That's where the
and I'm
money
sure
is.
I'm sure
Right.
that's where the money is, and I think that's just super frustrating because their core audience is like the nerdy nerds. You know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
people who actually want to control like the minute taxes, the percentage of taxes, who do I tax, how much do I tax them, like. But I get what they're going for,
I mean, I
and
don't know
it's
why
frustrating.
they shun complexity really, because like EU4 with all its DLCs,
Oh yeah.
that game has so many darn
Oh
buttons, so many interactions with different game mechanics that you have to learn, that after 1,000 hours you can still pick something up. And
Yeah.
and Hoy has on you can there are like the way you organize your divisions, the way like like what you do with the economy, the mission tree, like all of the like that game is super complex down to the individual divisions and stuff
Yeah.
like the generals and stuff like that.
Uh,
So why in this economic simulator did they like go for oh well, it can be complicated but not that complicated.
I would just like
I
to
don't-
say, sorry, in the last episode, you did say that you're too scared of Hearts of Iron 4, so that might be half the reason that they are skipping out on trying to make their games too complicated, because it might scare people. But to be totally honest with you, their real core audience are people that are willing to sink thousands of hours into the game and learn every corner of it. So it doesn't make sense to me either.
I mean, Hoy is like their flagship. Like Hoy is
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
most successful titles. I think
Yeah.
it might be even more successful than EU4. I'm not
It is.
It's
sure.
far more successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
got much larger player base.
Yeah, so like even though I feel it's too like it's certain game mechanics in Hoy 4 scare me, but like obviously it hasn't scared most people.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't really be afraid of like, oh no, we can't
Yeah.
do complex.
Yeah. And I mean, we can see that with even EU5, what they've been posting. Like, it's like a combination of all those games, and from what I can tell, everyone is super excited because it's got all the cool, complex systems of all the other games.
At least that's what they're trying to sell,
Yeah,
right? But we don't know
I mean,
how. But
but even me personally, when I look at it, I see EU4 like, oh man, the base EU4 systems, that's so cool. And then I see the pop systems, and I'm like, that's even better because that's what I love. I love that system from Victoria 3, and then like the fact that it's more complex does not deter me.
No.
It's yeah, it actually makes me want it more. Like, I even think like, dude, imagine if, let's say, like, I don't know, CK3 had pop systems. That would be cool. I know it's not feasible, but Like,
Yeah.
just the fact that like complex systems are not bad.
No, I think you're 100% right. Sorry, guys, I'm eating
I
right now.
argue that the weaknesses of Victoria 3 are where it's not complex. Like
Yeah.
where everything just feels underbaked and like good enough, like with the peace system, diplomacy, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's I know I am repeating myself, but like it just feels like they have the framework for, like they have all of the different characters, your generals, your politicians, all of them have traits that's they are almost not interacted with at all. Like if someone is a moderate or a reformer or something like that, that's often that has some weight. But like if they have a cocaine addiction or whatever, nobody cares. Like
No.
okay,
Right,
it's a worse general, like whatever. But like it just feels like they were going for more and settled for less.
I feel like that's probably just the same as like the business decision I was talking about, where
Right.
like the higher up said, "All right, we don't need you to work on that. We need you to work on this new feature. That feature will work good enough." It's probably like a deadline thing. I
Right.
do know for a fact that the video game like industry is very deadline heavy,
Right.
and a lot of stuff that people
Yeah.
want to do just doesn't get in because they don't have time for it.
Right.
Right. Well, okay, here's let me ask you this, Toby, because we talked about this last episode, and this episode's probably going to get more views because you have your name on it, you know. So,
Yay! I'm famous.
you know how taxes, right? There's only 5 buttons for taxes.
Yes.
Like, yeah. So, if you hover over those buttons, you can see like the specific how much they tax them. Like land tax is like, I don't know, whatever amount of money and blah blah blah, right? Now, how do you feel if like the player had more choice over how much they tax who?
No, I
Like
think
for
that's a good
example,
thing.
maybe they'll tax the laborers a lot more, and they'll tax the aristocrats like nothing. You know what I mean? Like, how do you
Yeah.
feel about that? And
I think that's how it should be. I mean, do you remember how the original Victoria 3 legitimacy system worked? There were
I
no
do not.
quadrants. It was
Right.
just one bar, and it was like
Yeah.
at 100% you get this buff, and it had scaling factors going all the way down to 0. And
Right.
I
Oh, right.
liked
Yeah,
that
yeah,
more. I'm not a fan of turning everything into like high setting, low setting, and like
Right.
middle
Yeah.
setting. I would much rather be able to pick an exact number that fits what I'm looking for.
yeah. And this is what we were talking about too. Like, speaking of like the piece in between piece and like between buildings, like what can we do stuff type of thing. You know?
Mm.
Do you think if we could like do taxes, if we could change the taxes, that would allow us to influence our economy more? So, like, for example, oh, I want to create a laborer utopia where I don't tax laborers, but I tax everything else. Like, do you think that would be better for the game systems to be able to shape your economy that way?
Absolutely. Being able to do more interesting stuff is always good for a game.
Yeah.
Having that's like Victoria 3's biggest problem. Like above anything else, the biggest problem is lack of flexibility.
Right.
There is a meta way to play the game, and if you don't play it the meta, you're just playing wrong. And that
Right.
sucks. It's like and that's the same problem with like any game. Like back in the day when I was playing a ton of Fortnite would have its like meta of the season, and then you had to use that one gun because if you weren't using it, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
It's the same way with Victoria 3. It's the reason I like EU4 so much is that specifically the ideas system allows you to
Right.
be so much more flexible. Like, oh, maybe this time I want to like go big into trade. I want to make a trade empire, or I want to be a naval power, or I want to just go big into buffing my army as much as possible.
I'm not
You
gonna
don't
lie,
really get
like you
that
said
much in
earlier.
Victoria 3.
Sorry, I thought that was gonna be what Power Blocks was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
Mhm.
hoping for. And then
Yeah.
it kind of is, but only for great powers.
Yeah.
Guys, I just ate some spicy food, so I'm sorry if I'm like out here dying. I got like
Oh, Smitty, what are
drinking
you
water.
thinking?
He's just out there like.
No, I had to mute I was listening to everything, but I was like, Anyway, that's some insight into my life.
Is that a video idea? Every time we mention a game mechanic we don't like, we eat a chili pepper and it
Yeah.
gets stronger and stronger.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
dude, that's great.
Yes.
That's such a good idea.
Playing Victoria 3, spice level 1,000,000. Trust me.
That's such a good
Oh
idea.
god.
You're just sort of
Yeah,
sitting
that's
there
what we do.
with your mouth burning. Please.
You can only take as much debt as many Scoville units as you can take.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We should do it.
Oh, this guy's dying over here.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Every time the AI build an art academy in some Arctic province, you take a shot.
Oh no! You'd be drunk at the end.
Like I say, I always EU4 is my favorite Paradox game by a long
Yeah,
shot, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
always
Oh
think
yeah,
of like
me too. Yeah, me
the
too.
systems in it where like playing a multiplayer EU4 game is so much fun because you just get like a bunch of your buddies, you play a bunch of small countries, you all team up and help each other, and you just like wreck the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get that in Victoria 3 because A, you can only have one alliance at a time, which
Oh right.
Yeah.
is dumb.
Horrible.
Yeah.
The whole game is built around playing as the great powers.
No,
And I
sorry.
get what they're sorry, Smithy, but I get what they're going for that because that's like, you know, they're trying to mimic what the 18th century looked like, where all of the European powers they were you know they're going to war with everybody else but not each other, because like if we do that, that's going to be horrible. So the entire world is just run by these 4 or 5 superpowers, right? But like we need to open up so that alt history is a thing. Like what
Yeah.
if what like you said in the beginning, what if Bavaria got really cheap loans and could really go into the steel industry? Some like it's
like I don't like prestige being tied to interest rate. I feel like it should be like its own thing, like trustworthiness or something.
yeah
Like
totally.
if you know whether a country's big or small doesn't matter as much as how like confident they are they're going to get their money back in their investment. So like you know, like places like Singapore today or like European countries, you know, interest rates can be quite low.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
I'm gonna avoid going into that direction because I don't know the exact numbers. I don't want to say something stupid.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think about journal entries? Like, because when I started playing, I thought they were going to be similar to like the focus tree and the mission. What's it called?
Oh really?
The missions. Because I was very used to, like on Hearts of Iron 4, the alt history was kind of decided for you, but it was still fun alt history. Whereas with Victoria, it was more like, hey, do it. But like, what do you guys think about journal entries? Do you think they're a waste of time? Do you think they're
Journal entries are a poor man's mission tree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was really underwhelmed by it. I can't lie.
Yeah, they could be a lot better, but they just haven't done anything with the systems. Like, there's a few countries that do have some like really nice journal entries, like specifically Greece. They can like revive the Olympic Games for a flat like 100 prestige for the whole game.
Oh damn.
Oh,
and
that's kind of cool.
Stuff like that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like I want stuff like that. Maybe not exactly like that because that's kind of OP, but I want nations to have unique buffs to them. That is like the reason to play them. Like I know specifically in EU4, I love playing as Bohemia because they have like their own unique religion with the Hussites.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to play with them.
It's interesting.
I did make a video like that.
But we noticed that your EU4 videos went unlisted because I was looking for one the other day and I was like, hey, op, there's none of them here.
Hey, op.
Yeah, I was trying to make the channel look more
aesthetic,
official, I guess. Those low view videos just kind of
Bro just removed every low view video from the channel page.
They weren't good videos either, so I was like okay with that.
That's fair. But yeah,
I
anyway.
want my channel to have more good videos on it.
Right.
And stop
Proportionally.
uploading.
Exactly. Delete all the videos.
Stop.
Toby makes great videos.
Yeah,
Everybody
no,
check him out.
it's by views. Like, if anyone's seen the views you're now pulling in, you're doing better than pretty much every Vicky 3. Well, yeah, every
I
Vicky
think
3
all of us
YouTuber. Yeah,
combined, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're pulling views like daily higher than I am monthly. You know, so
Hey,
Congrats.
What the heck?
Thank you. I just shifted to try and grab the casual audience.
that's
Yeah.
it's really intriguing to see what you're doing. Not that I watch the videos, but
You just know of the videos.
I watched the first, like I said, I watched the first like couple minutes, and I'm like, I can tell this is going to be good, but then I find that I am getting pushed for another video in 4 days, and I'm like, come on,
Yep. Be
time to
productive.
get going. Yep,
Yeah.
and that's the issue. Like, I want to watch it, but even
yeah, no, that's fine. I don't watch any other one else's videos.
no.
to be honest.
Look, I didn't watch anyone's videos
Wow.
anyway.
I don't like watching Paradox content. I just don't. Of
I don't
anybody.
either. Yeah,
That's
I don't
fair.
either.
I make it, but I can't watch it because I get bored. Probably because of how many hours I've put into the game.
No, I find the
think
exact
that's
same
the
thing.
Exact reason, dude. Yeah.
As soon as you start making videos, other people's videos start getting boring. I found
Yeah,
that as
I
soon
know,
as I like started doing Hearts of Iron, as soon as I started doing if you go back far enough, Minecraft, if like
Hmm.
Vicky 3, as soon as I started, I was like, no more of that. You spend too
You
much
get too
time
much
thinking
of it,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
that other people's stuff just gets boring. But yeah, for a normal viewer, you're doing amazing, man. But for me, you're doing boring content.
Thank you. I gotta make the video that Smithy will enjoy.
Yes, please.
I'll make a War Thunder video.
Ugh, I don't even play that game very often. I just accidentally sometimes slip into it.
Whoops! How did I get here? Well, I guess I better play for 5 hours.
Yeah, no, I told the other two in the last thing that I have an issue with playing other games where if I play another game, I will not touch Vicky. So I've restricted myself to Vicky and Vicky only. So that's me for
You
the
put
rest
yourself in jail.
of time. I have no more other games for me because otherwise they become center of attention for a week and then no video for a week. But it's a shame. I do miss playing games. Good games. Come on, Paradox, pick up the slack. Want to play a good game?
Dude,
But
for real.
I think all of you have a good point in that EU4 kind of becomes this form of gold standard, right? You compare
Mhm.
every game mechanic in every Paradox game to like, is it better than EU4? Most
True.
likely not.
Yeah.
E4 E4 has the luxury though of it being so old. It's not ancient, but it's got
It's like
time.
decades old.
It's got time. It's had time. I mean, to improve on every single
Sure,
feature.
yeah.
Whereas we're looking at a game that has really, in Paradox years, has only just been released. So
Yeah,
Of-
but
yeah.
the key steals were there 10 years ago.
true.
Yeah. No,
But-
I really do think, man, it's just more variety. That's all Victoria 3 really needs.
Yeah, I mean, I am okay with some
Oh, you-
some paths or whatever, some governments being technically better than others, but like I think you should like maybe you get other benefits for going absolute monarchy or something like that, like something else that just like, oh well, this is also viable, it's just another twist on it. Like
Mhm.
Right.
in EU4 you can like, do I go for, most people go for both, but like, do I go for quality or quantity? Do I go for discipline and morale of armies, or do I just go for more force limit and more troops and more manpower? Like you could have choices, even though technically one is suboptimal. There could still be a meta, but you don't need to be a meta slave. You could just have more
Yeah.
variety.
Yeah.
The
That's
problem is
interesting.
that like the meta is like built into the game right now on purpose.
Right. Yes. Like
Like-
the farther down you go in laws, the that's more the better it is. Like there's no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the production methods are, basically like that too.
Right.
Yeah, you get a new production method, just switch to the newest
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But like switching
As
to
long as you can
electricity
afford it.
is the only one that might take some time.
Yeah, but it's also just not fun to switch to electricity because it's
No.
a local good.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
they-
And
That
I've
really
heard
confused me
from-
when I first started playing. I was like, how come electricity is local of all the things? Like,
Yeah.
It
It c-
didn't
you
used to
literally-
be.
huh?
No,
It didn't used to be.
No.
They
it was a
changed
change they made for realism that made the game less fun.
Yeah.
Did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm
You need to micro every state every like how much electricity they use, and it's horrid.
That's kind of ridiculous.
I think in a year we go back to the release date of Vicky 3 and make a video on it, boys.
Absolutely.
I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's too early, but
It's
Yeah,
been
maybe.
like 2 years.
bro, nah, it's too early.
I
It-
don't. Yeah, I feel like not much has actually changed though.
yeah.
Like obviously there's some good stuff, but I feel like at heart it's still kind of the same game.
The only thing I can really say is different is
Yeah.
like, oh no, there's no power blocks. Oh no, military's bad. Like, not power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other-
Local
yeah,
the
other than
local
the-
goods was a huge one.
Oh,
Local
that's
goods
true.
was
That's a
huge.
big one.
Yeah, that's
Because-
fair.
Yeah,
Because
that's a big one.
that changed the entire way you played the game. Like
It
before
That's
that,
true.
it was more like I have a resource state and I have a manufacturing state, and that is how I'll play the game. Now you have to you're looking for rainbow states instead that just have everything, and then
Mhm.
all of the other states just get thrown to the
Nothing.
wayside.
Yeah.
Like all of my friends that I play Vicky with, they said like, "Oh, look, that's realistic. That the coal mines, they are local, so the coal price is cheaper." But well, and I go like, yeah, it's a bit realistic, but also that's not how it worked in all of the world. Like
Yeah.
Sweden, for example, like you had states or places that you extracted the resources from, but saw nothing of that wealth. That's the reason for colonies. You
Yeah.
like the iron that Sweden is so famous for. That was dug up in the north somewhere in the Arctic, and then was brought down to the manufacturing centers, the population
Yeah.
centers in the south. So in a way, it's less realistic to have the resource extraction and the resource refinement in the same
Yeah,
area.
that's true. That's
I
true.
wish you could see like the movement of goods.
There
Because
isn't any. I don't think so.
no, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like that would be just like a cool little thing that I know
Yeah,
it'd probably
that-
take
that's-
time,
yeah.
but
I think
one of
like,
those
what they should
quality
do,
of life things.
I think like what they should do is, and I was talking about this a little bit last time, but have like stockpiles so that like you extract iron from, for example, from let's say this one state, and then it has a certain stockpile of 100 iron, and then you have to ship it to another state. I don't know. It's probably a lot of like, it's probably not feasible with performance and stuff, but
Right.
I feel like stuff. I don't know, just more like strategy
Yeah.
instead of just building. Building and then it magically
Yeah.
teleports to where you need to go.
I think that would
That's-
also bring in a little bit more micro, and some
I mean,
people
I feel
really
like
miss
it-
that.
I mean, it gives you something to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that I just really want is I want to build up my country in a way that I want to build it up.
Thing is,
Yeah,
with
so,
that
like, have a-
feature, is that it's not even going to be good for a video. It will just be something for me to do while I'm making a video, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, it's-
Because I could go
yeah.
away for an hour and watch YouTube, queue up like 50 pages, come back and be like, oh wow, 50 million GDP. Anyway, like,
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know
at
what
a
I
certain
mean?
point, the game does just become auto expand everything
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're just so big, and that's not really fun.
Yeah, it's not fun at all.
no, it's not. Look, we're being brutally honest on this. Look,
I am being brutally honest. Like, say, there's a lot, like specifically the local prices change on everything, I'm gonna be honest, made me enjoy the game much less.
Oh, really?
Really.
Because it's just another chore I have to worry about.
That's fair.
Like
Mm.
the enjoyment of the game for me is not making the number go up. It's like
Mm.
weaving my way through diplomatic stuff to like get what I want.
Ah, different
The
player
most fun
over there.
parts of the game for me is the formable nations.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
understand that. That's
Like
where
Germany
Hearts
and
Fire
Italy.
comes in.
Like,
For
you
me.
improve relations with all these countries, you get alliances so that you have the power to like beat up nations that are holding you back. And like that's the fun part for me. Building the
Interesting.
economy is just something I have to do because I'm playing the game.
True.
That's fair. No, formables. When I first I'm gonna keep saying it, but when I went from Hearts of Iron 4 to Vicky, I was like, why can't I do anything? That was genuinely one of the things I was like, well, what is there something interesting here? So I ended up switching the content by over explaining everything I did. Turns out people like it, but that's by the by. It still felt like there was nothing to even focus on, like in the day-to-day chores of Vicky 3, if you want to put it that way, because what it is kind of like building the economy isn't fun. It
No.
like it.
I like that.
I enjoyed doing
It's
it.
not fun, it's satisfying.
It's satisfying. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not sitting there going yes. I do because recordings, but 50 million GDP. Like, come on now. We can't talk about it
Yeah.
every
I
time.
got 50 million GDP. Oh, I got 55 million GDP. Oh, I got
Exactly.
60 million GDP. It doesn't. At a certain point, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A number's just a number. I find way more fun in ripping states away from Austria or like fracturing their country and watching them suffer.
That's it. Yeah, that's fair. I think
Bro, that's
formable
funny.
nations is the way, like, of making the game more interesting in a very easy way for Paradox.
Like the
Well,
most
I think
fun country, in my opinion, is Prussia because of that.
Yeah.
okay. The thing is, I think that would work if military and war was actually
Good.
Better.
different. Yeah, if it was better. Because right now, I agree with you guys, except that I can't be bothered to fight anyone.
That's
Because
fair.
it's so painful. Yeah, it's so painful. Like all you do is you gotta mobilize and then click a button and let them attack you
Yeah.
first, and then attack back. And
Yeah.
it's just so frustrating that I just rather just click stuff and then build and wait.
Yeah.
It's like the lesser of two evils for me. Like it's not fun sitting there clicking and waiting for stuff to build, but it's like I'm able to look at my phone and stuff, if you know what I mean. And that's not a good look for a game.
No.
The fact that
Yeah.
like
I mean, that's why I say like the diplomacy is the best part of the game for me, where it's like
yeah.
you build up like this power block. Well, I guess I can't say power block because that's actually a thing now. But
Yeah.
like literally the video that I was talking about where I got like France and Russia to back me up against Austria to form Italy. That was fun. That was satisfying to like see that come to fruition and actually declare the war. Not actually fighting the war. I'm just sitting there watching the front lines push themselves.
Right.
And I'm not really
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
anything. I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, who's my best general? You attack, and then everyone else sit on defense.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
don't know,
skill to it.
Yeah, what do you think about the Victoria 2/EU4 combat system versus this combat system?
I like the EU4 combat system more.
Yeah. Do you think it would be better if they reverted back to that?
I think Victoria 3 needs a proto Hoi 4 system.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss Hoi 4. I actually
But
crave
it's not
it sometimes.
possible with the way the game engine is because they committed to this dumb warfare system way too early without actually getting anyone's opinion on it.
But-
And Victoria 3 will forever suffer because of it.
That's fair.
Oh no! I'm
Yeah,
stuck with this
they physically
forever.
cannot change it.
Damn, I didn't realize it was that bad.
Hmm.
But sometimes, like when obviously Hearts 1 and 4 does it on a different scale because the entire game is warfare. But
Yeah.
having that extra detail into like percentages, numbers, and stuff for each war, because you have like obviously people dying and people getting wounded and people losing morale, but that's about it. And
Yeah.
like whenever you do the mobilization buttons, it doesn't feel authentic because you just end up spending more money. That's what you usually end up just doing. You just spend more money to make the army better.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It's just clicking buttons.
Yeah. The only skill in Victoria 3's war system is exploits. As sad as that sounds. Like, if
True.
you want to get an advantage, you play defense, pull troops off the front to keep them attacking because they perceive them as having an advantage until you just finally turn around when you have overwhelming numbers advantage. You re-roll generals until you get the guy you want. You know.
I've got to be honest though, I don't enjoy that part. I don't enjoy rolling through multiple sheets of things, so I don't do it.
Nope.
Whatever I get, I
Yeah.
get, and then if the game ends up being ruined, then it saved me 5 minutes and a headache. So you know what?
Yeah.
Anyway, anyone got any other topic? Because I feel like we've ripped military apart.
We've destroyed military.
Nah, they
Um,
destroyed it themselves.
Diplomacy just needs more options. Like,
That's
just feel
fair.
I
like-
agree with that. Yeah.
I mean,
Especially when
what's
playing multiplayer,
Yeah.
feels
I think-
like it's dry.
Yeah, I think
Like, I can't
diplomacy could be like the saving grace for this game.
Oh,
it could.
100%.
It's what they should focus
Yeah.
on, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, I really think so.
Because economy
like-
works. Economy's in a good enough state that anyone can get stuck into it and be fine with it. Yeah, maybe in the late game it needs a little bit extra, but really the diplomacy, it would just connect every nation a bit more, and it would make you
Yeah.
feel like you're in an actual living world.
Oh yeah.
And because I swear, whenever I'm playing Vicky, there's not really that many situations I can give you where another country has done badly because of another AI country. Like the AI don't really. I guess there are. Like my previous game, the Ottomans completely destroyed the Egyptians, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like I'm connected to the game. It feels like there's like a barrier stopping me from actually affecting other countries.
Yeah. I mean, I think, especially like the diplomatic play when you start a war, it's so like. I want it to be more of like a negotiation that doesn't have to lead to war. Like, if I want a
Mhm.
state from somebody, like, say I'm playing, Germany and I want Alsace-Lorraine, there should be more options than just war to get that from France.
Yeah, like obviously they can back down, but why can't you like beforehand? Yeah, like they can go like the peace deal thing where they can offer you something for something and then you either accept it, deny it, because the peace offering, even just using that system, but before the war as well, could work. And it's just a little bit of extra flavor. Like it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better.
Yeah. Like if you had a claim on a state and you like wanted to get it, I feel like there should be like a lump sum of money that the AI would be willing to accept to buy that state from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's another point. We should be able to do like literally. I don't know if you guys said this. I was gone, but
No.
we should be able to pay people money. I think you said this earlier, Toby.
I did.
But, like,
yeah.
In the game of like economics, why can you not pay people?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
bankroll, but bankroll is based off of your and their economy, right? So
Yeah.
it's not actually, it doesn't represent anything really,
Yeah.
because you can just cancel it, right? So it'd be nice to
Yeah.
pay someone $1 million of my in my treasury, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like pay someone for a flat like improved relations amount.
Or
Yeah.
like when you're going through peace of the war system, why can't I just pay you off?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
because obviously they can ask for a bankroll, but if they don't ask for a bankroll, then I can't offer to just give you like £1 billion. I know obviously £1 billion's a stretch, but you know, and then the AI would just accept or deny, and then you either let them capitulate or not. But it's either white peace or give away one of your claims. Why is there not just a slider for money? But
Yeah. I wish peace deals could be like take and give. Or like, hey, you know, we've been fighting for a while, it's not worth it anymore. I still want the state, but like I'll pay you to take the state.
yeah.
I want more options like that.
Do you know how Bannerlords works?
I do not.
Have you never played the game?
I have never.
Oh, well, Chum. Who was it? Was it Chum?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, you know how that system works where you get an offering. So
Yeah.
it weighs it up based off like opinions and things like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can give them anything in your inventory. It's obviously a bit more of a personal game, Bannerlords, than Vicky is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You could give them money, obviously. You could give them a state. Like, why does it all have to be down to like what you set in the first place? Why can't it change
Yeah.
based on how the
it
war
should be able to
goes?
change. I think there should be escalation during the war, not
Yeah.
before.
Could you like drop a what's it called, a claim? So say you're in the middle of a war and you go, actually, I don't care about banning slavery anymore because I have to capture their capital to do it, and then
Mhm.
you could win the war. Obviously, you wouldn't get all your things, but you'd get some of it. I don't know.
I think there should be like either like a time or a casualty threshold where like if the cost of war goes up this much, then you get more maneuvers to add more war goals. Because it's like, oh, we've already wasted this many people. We need to actually get something out of this.
Yeah.
Because like that happens in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've lost 1 million people right now. We want an extra bit of land.
Yeah, to make up for it.
Yeah. It makes
And,
total
like,
sense.
It'd be seen as legitimate in the eyes of the world, as long, well, depends, I guess. But
Obviously, our opinions could be completely wrong. Like, as in not wrong, but like different to other people's. But this is just how we're seeing it. It seems
I
like we
also
all
want to
have
be
pretty
able
similar
to-
ideas.
I want to be able to pay people to stay out of wars. Because there's
True.
no worse feeling in Victoria 3 than thinking, oh, this should be an easy little
Oh,
1v1
yeah.
fight.
Then
And then
Britain
suddenly
joins,
Great Britain has
yeah.
sided on them. It's like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
why? We literally have a defensive pact.
Yep, I have a trade
that
agreement.
was-
I have defensive pact.
I
It
have a
literally
trade
happened with me
agreement.
the other day with France.
Yeah. It's
So I don't know.
dumb.
That was even worse before because you had no
It
idea.
was.
There was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
warning. Like there was like starting any fucking war was a chance. It's a throw in the dark.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
because they would join it like without any. It's like, oh, I'll join for, I don't know, a treaty port. Or
I'll change for change regime in like the Casamid state that you forgot you protected like
yeah.
20 years ago. It's like,
Exactly.
why do you
Like,
care?
how can how can this be worth fighting multiple superpowers over? Like,
And then they'll
it
like
makes
full
no
mobilization too. They'll like conscript every person in their country
Yeah.
for this one war goal. And it's like, why? You were just dicking me over because I'm the player.
Right. Like if the AI goes to war, like they should they should really be like the worth calculation should be better because like is this worth
Yeah.
thousands of
Mhm.
people dying for or not?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
made it a little better because now you can see, at least you get an
Who,
idea
yeah,
of
it's likely to
intentions.
join.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But you, in my opinion, you should also be able to, in beforehand, just I think this for EU4 as well. But that you should be able to like negotiate with your allies. Like I can count on you, right? Like this is not a chance in the dark that you will join me or that you will honor me. Like
Yeah. I don't know how that
Here's
would be implemented though.
Yeah, I don't know how but some sort of, you talk to your ally, like, do you want to join this war, or do you not want to join this war? So, or if you join this war, I'll promise you this or whatever. So that is made up before the play itself, because then it's out in the open and it's just with the Wild West. You should be able to talk with your allies in beforehand and say, like, this is the game plan. This is how you.
Yeah.
I guess it could literally just be before you declare war. Like you just like press a button, you say, "Hey France, I'll give you this," and then they immediately agree. Because then it could. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be the fact that you're both like, that you're just calling someone in. Because why can't two countries be a spearhead of a war? Because this is what has always annoyed me. I get called into a war. I want one war goal, but because I'm now in this war and I'm going to end up with a truce anyway, why can't I keep adding extra war goals for me? I know I'm not the war leader, but if I'm like the US, I'm joining Britain, and I'm not the war leader, it doesn't matter because I'm not the war leader, even though it makes sense, say you're playing Vietnam and you join the UK because you're Vietnam. But if you're the US, you have the power to take more, but instead all I get is war reps, or all I get is one state. But you still get the truce at the end of it.
Yeah, imagine like you're France and then Prussia declares on you, and all you get, like, you put war reps in there, but then like you lose like half your population in that war. Like, of course I want to take more than just war reps now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it should be more dynamic.
Yeah.
I think the peace deal system should happen after the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And that's also, pretty much. And you get infamy there instead of when you declare the war. Like, maybe you get a little bit for the initial goal. There's no maneuvers.
I
And
think
instead you get, like, you can basically, like, make more claims whenever they surrender. And then you have, like, a peace deal with whoever you were fighting with, like, on your side. Pretty much kind of like just how Hoi 4 system works, but like the more you take, the more infamy you gain after the fact.
Yeah.
Should we send these videos to Paradox, boys? Just like video, like every like couple of weeks, we're like, "Hey Paradox, here we go.
Do this,
dude." Honestly, we should. Paradox gotta listen.
That's how you end up on the blacklist.
Yeah,
Dude,
we've been
on the
battering
blacklist.
Victoria 3 for the last 3 hours, and I don't think we're
Longer than that.
No,
Way
this is
longer
what
than
I've
that.
been actively saying. Like, I don't think this is the developer's fault, and I actually don't. I'm not just saying that to save face.
Yeah.
I think it's a business decision.
And we also know that all these ideas that we're giving aren't all realistic. They're just
right.
ideas.
A lot of them aren't possible.
They're just ideas, and they're just things that annoy us. So it doesn't mean that we want and need a fix, and we're gonna like have a hissy fit about it. We're just sharing our like thoughts.
It would be cool though to have like somebody involved in the development process, like on this podcast. We could just not interrogate
Ask them to violate their NDA.
Absolutely not. But like but like design philosophy and stuff like that. Like, it would be cool to somebody with some insight.
Yeah. Toby, hint.
Toby, you're the one that gets the views. You're the one that can ask.
Okay, if you could make one change to Victoria 3, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many things.
Start with
You have
Chum
to
because
pick
he has
one.
lots of ideas.
No, I gotta do one though.
If you could choose what the development team worked on for the next update, what would it be?
I would say it's controversial, but I'd say I want to go back to stockpiles.
Interesting.
Yeah, just because the
Stockpiles of everything or of just certain stuff?
Well, everything. Partially because, okay, so the way I make videos, like, you guys have seen my tea plantation video, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So basically, building like 200 million tea, right? And only 5 people are buying the tea, but somehow I'm making a profit on those farms.
Mm-hmm.
I should not be making a profit on those farms.
True.
But somehow I am. Yeah, no, but somehow I am, and I bet a lot of that's because there's no like stockpile, and because the price is, it's capped at minus 75% base price. But I think a lot of that is also because nobody has an inherent like a shortage. I don't know how to explain it, but like what Technocrat said last episode, because we talked about this too. But last episode, for example, even military goods, your military factories are like very poor and dead if you're not at war. But as soon as you go into war, like they spring
kick
into action.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Why
I feel like
can't they
there
just
should
be running at like the same
Exactly.
pace, but it just stockpiles goods and then
Yeah.
like
And then you can even sell those goods, you know, like kind of like old Victoria too.
I
You
actually,
can make money off of wartime economy. Like you can actually do that now.
have you guys played Hearts of Iron 4 one of the recent DLCs where they introduced the international market?
Oh,
Because
I've actually played that.
the whole idea was that you could sell the goods that you produce, so like to like the number for factories. So obviously the game doesn't have money, but Victoria 3 has money, so you could just go for money. But you could actually specifically just put it on the market and then people would buy it, and it could be anyone that has access to your market. And that like it feels like such a thing that should be in like an economy game.
Yeah, it opens like the world up, you know.
Yeah,
like,
why-
you're not so lonely.
Like I'm able to.
I think that's the one thing.
Yeah, you're able to stockpile something. They literally have it in Hearts of Iron 4 for every single good. So why? Like I don't know. I know that
Yeah, and,
it's
like-
that one's military based, but
Yeah,
still.
but it could go like even for like let's say like clothing or something. Like you could stockpile clothing, which drives the price of clothing down, and then if somebody is, you know, like short on clothing, you can export it. And it's just I know it's an extra step, but the fact that like the way the economy is now is super abstract, which is shown by my tea thingy, mabob, because obviously I should not be able to make profit off that. But the economy is so abstract that it only shows the income of your goods rather than the actual like stockpile of your goods. And for an economic simulator, I don't think you can do that realistically and get away with being realistic. It's because I don't know. There's just so many things that they're missing out by not having that mechanic.
That's fair. Like, I
And it
see where you're
shows,
coming
like-
from.
goods going bad, like fruits and
I think it should.
stuff.
I mean, I don't know the game how that would affect. Like, that's probably a whole nother thingy.
But
that
yeah,
they
like
would have to
could a
work out,
good
but-
just last for like a month? Because
Yeah, that's probably
realistically,
some-
if you had it as a week or like a couple days, then you would be having to produce so much of a good.
yeah.
Obviously that's realistic,
Well, obviously,
but
like maybe for food and stuff, but like guns and stuff.
no, they don't go out of date.
I mean, yeah, it's more. I think that would be good because your food, you would have to have a certain baseline of food production because it goes bad, you know. So you can't like produce food forever. But if you have a good baseline of food production, then you can export your surplus.
Yeah, and that
Or
would
you
make
can-
extra money.
Or you can stockpile it because you know, hey, I'm gonna go to war soon. I'm gonna need that extra, grain.
Yeah,
And you could get, I don't know, like, and I know it's like an extra step because right now the game kind of models that already.
but you could just like, even if the like developers or the higher ups or whatever don't want to make it too complicated, they could just have it that you can just press a button between if I'm over like the consumption limit or like the consumption amount,
then
just sell it or stockpile it. Like it doesn't need to be too complicated where you like tell it exactly how much it needs to be sold. It just needs to be the fact that it has that kind of extra step before it gets I don't know.
And then again, back to the gun thing. If you want to stockpile guns to the moon, you can do that. And
Yeah.
if you know you're really gonna go to war soon, and you're gonna need a ton of guns, a ton of tanks, a ton of cars or airplanes or whatever, like you can stockpile that. And I think that adds a whole new dynamic to the game, and not only to like strategy, but also to the trading system.
There's also
Yeah,
something to do with trade that I just thought of. it doesn't it feel weird when you break a trade like for one good with a country that nothing happens apart from you stop trading? Like, why is there no decrease in opinions? Or I don't know, it just feels like if you're cutting someone off from a good, then
Yeah.
maybe I'm just being stupid, but
Oh, that's true.
don't know.
That's true. Well, I think speaking of trade, I think it has to be reworked. Maybe that's the one thing I want to change.
Trade.
Trade.
Just because, trade, because trade is so like you click it and you don't care about it.
Also, you
Yeah.
either trade very little, like at the beginning of the game, you're trading barely anything. And
Yeah.
I know that's because
could you imagine?
yeah.
Could you imagine if the world had like a world, like kind of like Victoria 2, where it had a world market and you have to like outcompete your competitors, you know? Like let's say I'm Japan and I'm making all the grain in the world and I'm going to be a world leading exporter of grain, but China is my competitor, you know, and they're making grain too. Now I want to sell it on the world market. I'm going to undercut their prices. Even if I don't get as much money, I'm going to undercut that. I don't know how they can model that, but just stuff like that. It would add so much to the economy side that I wouldn't even like care about the war system at that point. Just
By the
'cause
way,
I'm
if
so like focused on
it feels like
the
me and Chum
economy
have been
side.
talking for the last like half an hour. So
Yeah,
maybe if
that
you guys
was
have
what I would add.
anything,
Yeah, that's what I would add. But yeah, you guys can maybe a hot take.
I asked a question that I didn't have an answer to.
yeah, I don't have an answer either. I agree with Chum though with the trade thing. It does feel like it's a bit empty, especially early game when you're actually trying to like trade maybe, because at later
Yeah.
game you can just not bother with trade and it will be fine. But at the beginning when you're like trying to scrap for cash, why not? Why is the biggest trade route I can have gonna sell me 11 of a good?
Yeah,
Like what the
that's so
hell?
Yeah.
annoying.
I'm literally producing an
most
extra
annoying
100 and all you're gonna sell me is 11.
Yeah.
Feels so weird.
I really wish we could choose to buy from other people, to import from other people, even if we're not going to make profit. I really wish we could do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That would be nice to be able to do.
I think that all comes into the stockpile though, because that would be
Yeah,
implemented with a
imagine
stockpile.
that.
Like
Yeah, imagine that.
I'm about to go to war. Look, Britain has loads of guns that I can buy off them. Let's buy them now. Then we'll declare war on Britain. They'll have no guns. I'll have all of them. It's like that would be. It's still very gamey, but I don't care. It sounds fun. Like
Yeah, it's cooler than just like having dormant military factories that come to life once you go to war.
Yeah.
I actually do think war, like, obviously war ruins trade, but what I always find is that it never ruins my economy. Like, I might have a dip in my balance because obviously I'm spending loads on my military, but it actually usually ends up helping because I'm now using a load more goods than I did before, and I could boost that industry while I'm at war. So,
Yeah.
Man discovered American economics.
yeah.
Is that the next video, Smithy? The military-industrial complex?
Yep. I turned Kenya into the military-industrial complex.
If you made a video making America the military-industrial complex of the world, I guarantee you that get views.
Well, anything I do get now. Yeah, maybe.
This sounds like a Chum video playing America, but I only make guns.
Dude, I did
You
that
actually.
already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, didn't you? Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I did that.
This just goes to show how much I don't know about you guys, like your videos, because I don't like I do see the thumbnails and I do try and watch like a couple minutes, but I can't watch the whole thing. It's not because they're bad, trust me, they're good, but I got to get working, guys. Anyway, talking about work, I've already got my editor editing the last podcast.
Oh, really?
Here's 2.5 hours of
Already.
content. Edit, please.
Yeah, get it done.
No, I put it on OneDrive like as we were talking, and it's just like, oh, I found it, and I'm like, cool, do it.
That's funny.
But this thing, it's not gonna need much
hold on,
editing
hold on.
because it'll just be like a lot of.
Okay, hold on.
a lot of us
Am I
talking.
the only one who answered that question?
Yeah,
so
you
far,
are.
yes.
Because
What about you
you
guys?
spoke for like
I'm
15
thinking-
minutes.
Now I seem like I hate Paradox now.
No.
You
We've all
hate
been ranting
Paradox.
for an hour and 40 minutes anyways. It's fine.
I don't hate Paradox. I just hate Victoria 3.
Oh yeah, fair.
The 4 Victoria 3 content creators who hate Victoria 3. This is
If you
Nah.
play any
Great.
game enough, you hate
No,
it.
yeah, you'll
Yeah.
hate it. Yeah. No, I absolutely like. I'm not.
You know every problem with the game.
Dude, I face it every single day, man.
Yep. I
Well,
wake up.
We
I
sound
see
like we're
Victoria 3,
complaining.
I
Like
wanna
we
go back to bed.
we literally just play a game and like get views.
Yeah, and as much as we have complained about like Paradox, without them, I mean,
None of
Like,
us
I
would.
would-
Yeah.
yeah, like the
No,
Paradox,
like I say, I don't
yeah.
have anything against Paradox. I just want
Yeah.
Victoria 3 to be better.
right.
Yeah, me
Really,
too.
we're all just giving our opinions so that, like, even if Paradox don't listen to this, we can still say, hey, look, we have some ideas. Like, they might be rubbish. They might not even work. They might not be anything anyone else wants, but still something.
I think if I could add anything to Victoria 3 to make the game more fun, it would be a system similar to the Ideas system of EU4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which I know Power
Oh,
Blocks
yeah.
almost serve that purpose, but like
No, I
literally
like
just-
that idea.
invert the cohesion. Like make it to where smaller countries get more benefits.
Yeah,
That would be like exactly what I want.
I like
Mhm.
that idea.
I
And
don't-
it'll add more like uniqueness to the game, like to
It would
play as other
a lot
countries.
more.
yeah, like
Yeah.
more choices, more like if some I can choose this path, but that means I'll miss out on that path or whatever. Some more
Yeah.
more just more like in EU4 when you choose an ID set, that's an important choice because
Yeah,
okay, do I go for religious ideas so I get that CB early, or do I go for quantity so I can stand up to the Ottomans earlier, or like that? Because if you pick one, you can't pick the other until a couple of texts or whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So more like that, like say, well, oh, I'm gonna. They somehow they try to do that with companies that you can like, oh look, I'm really good at making iron, or I'm really good at making furniture or whatever. But like it didn't really have it's just another modifier that you slap on there and then you forget about it.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
another way to make GDP go up.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
So more like they could rework the journal system to be more like something that is in the open, so you can like I want long arcing goals that give me permanent benefits, even though they
Yeah.
are small. Like if you, I don't know, if I own like a certain percentage of the European sulfur production, I get 5% more morale of armies. Like something that I can strive towards that is tangible and that is like this is unique to me. So then, because that's honestly one of the biggest parts of the EU4. Like you have mission trees, yes, that gives you direction,
Mhm.
but it also they're also small, like permanent, like
Goals.
like form. Yeah,
Buffs,
but buffs, yeah, some that you collect like Pokemon because that it
Mhm.
feels good. Like you're playing Prussia and you have like all of these goals that you need to achieve, and then you get like 5% discipline there, 5% morale of armies there, and it just feels
Yep.
great because they
It
start
does.
to accumulate, and you're like
You start slapping everybody in
right,
combat.
and this you eventually just build to this power fantasy of like this nation is coming together because of the actions that I did, not because
Yeah.
I pressed the build steel mill button 50 times and GDP go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I want to build my country in Victoria 3 to specialize in warfare, like I want to be able to. I know you technically can do that in the game, but that requires you to
Yeah.
like keep the military interest group
Yeah.
powerful. And the problem with that is that you really don't get to pick and choose who's powerful.
Right.
for a lot of it.
Especially
True.
armed forces. Like, there's no way other than like what professional army boosts them. Other than that, like
A little bit.
yeah, there's no way of you can make capitalist powerful by just making the clout like be rich by them
Yeah.
owning buildings and stuff like that. But there's no option to just I want my military officers to own my buildings. Like
Yeah,
there's no
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I want, if I want to build a trade economy based on like specializing in one good, like you kinda can, but not really.
Yeah, not really,
Uh,
not really.
I just want stuff like that. I want to be able to specialize in one thing for like countries.
Oh yeah,
like-
dude.
Like, give me maybe. Hey, I want to be able to go big into diplomacy. So like, I have some form of government that gives me like an extra alliance, so I can have 2 alliances, and I get like faster, improved relation speed because my diplomats are just better.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. You can't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everything's so limiting.
Yeah.
Like I want to turn a small like major power nation into like this beast with a really strong military. So like I might not be dominating economically, but if you fight me, I'll mess you up.
right.
Or,
Yeah.
Some naval power who can like wreck, ports along the river or
Oh,
along the
yeah.
ocean, along the coast, and like you cause devastation build up during a war.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool one.
Sorry, what did you say? Sorry, I missed it.
I said like
My
I just want
bad.
you to be able to do more stuff, specialize in things. So
Yeah.
like I said like maybe you have somebody like Cyprus, you play as Cyprus and you just put a bunch of effort into building up your navy to be really strong. So like you join a war and you just spend the whole time like you win the naval battles and then you just build up devastation along the coast with your ships.
Oh, okay. That sounds nice. That does sound nice.
I'm
Paradox.
thinking, like other stuff you can do. Go like I mean you can kind of do this, but like invest into like technology spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technologically advanced, which you kind of can do with universities, but only if you're a great power
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's the only way you can afford them all.
Yeah, you know how like you could add like military doctrines in there that like a tree, military doctrine tree, kind of like Hoi 4.
Yeah.
That like give you specific, and it's gonna be different every game. And even for the economic side, I mean, this is just a spitball here. You can have like an economic doctrine or something that give you like, oh, I'm gonna be good at producing, guns
Yeah,
here. They give
production
me, like,
efficiency.
Yeah.
on
Like
certain goods.
like I get
Yeah.
penalties to this, but I get bonuses to this
Yeah,
because
yeah,
my
that would be
economy is special.
that would be
yeah.
so much cooler. Like that would be so much more replayability that way, rather than everyone is just the same.
Yeah, everything
just
now is
really
just like there's no reason to specialize in anything. You should just do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially with economy stuff, like you don't really get like these nations that we just make a ton of grain and we export it for money and then like buy stuff.
yeah,
In Vic 3, you kind of just build everything yourself. There's no real reason
Yeah,
to trade unless you just really need this
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
And that's
That's a shame.
again, it goes to make everybody feel the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Like I don't know how they would implement this, but like you should have competitive advantages. Like you have you have like state bonuses and whatnot, right? Like if I
Mm.
like in Sweden you have some 20% like throughput bonus for producing iron or whatever. But like you could you could have it so that like so that the Swedish iron is different from the German iron or something. Like the Swedish iron is more it I don't know, it has it's more prestigious or it's more popular or it's better
High quality. Yeah.
something like that, so that like you could you have an advantage and then you push it instead of just building I'm building tooling manufacturers again, I'm building car manufacturers again, I'm building steel manufacturers like instead of
I love that idea.
I have something I'm really good at, I'm going to specialize it because that's what nations did. Like, I have something I'm really good
Yeah.
at. I'm going to
Yeah.
specialize
Yeah.
in that. I'm going to export it, and then I'm going to import the stuff that other people are good at doing.
Yeah.
Like
That doesn't exist in Vic 3.
no. Every good is the same. Like, even if it's every card that's made in
That is so
Asia or
true.
Africa or in Europe is in the game. That's
That is
absolutely
so
the
true.
same. It's exactly
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah,
That's so
because
true.
maybe I'm wrong, but like British steel, I swear that there was something about steel in like Britain that was like, I don't know, maybe it was just because it was one of the first countries to start doing it, but surely people were gonna be buying from Britain a lot, and it does feel to me whenever I play Britain or a major like the US or I haven't played France in a while, so I'm not going to mention France, but the US and the UK definitely feel like when you play it, there's no, it just feels like late game the entire game,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it does.
and like if I've been doing something for so long, like you said, like I don't know, iron or steel or cars or something, why is that not better now than someone that's just started? Like, why is some South African car not worse? Or it could obviously be better if it's actually better, but
Right.
it doesn't. Usually, if you've been doing something for longer and producing a good for longer, and the country's surrounded by like money from this good, then surely it's going to be better. But
Right.
I think quality.
Maybe you get a bonus for how long the manufacturer's been there or something.
Yeah,
Like it's
maybe.
That's true. Hoi 4 does have like a system like that where military
Oh, yeah, it
factories are
does.
more efficient
Yeah.
the longer they've been around. Which
Yeah,
actually
right.
I think that could add some stuff.
And each country in Hearts of Iron 4 has its own type of. It might just be a model, but they also do have their own type of like tanks and not armor. I mean, what's it called? Like guns and stuff. I can't remember. It's been too long, but I can't remember whether they actually have different stats or whether they're just different skins to each equipment and names. But it would still be nice for each country to have some differences. Because imagine buying,
Yeah.
imagine
That'd be
just,
sick.
yeah, like cars
What
start
if you
coming
could,
in
like-
and you get a BMW.
Yeah.
Like,
What if you could like create your own like model car, for example, and you can choose like what bonuses it gets and stuff? Oh, that'd be sick. Like for guns, for example, like if you have a bunch of gun fact. Oh, okay, this is more like Hoi 4, but
yeah,
If
this
you
is
have a
starting
Bring
to
in a
get.
Hoi 4.
yeah, this is exactly how it was.
that'd be so cool, man. But something
You could
like
just
that. I
play-
don't know,
That's
like
what I
full
love Hearts of Iron 4. The
like, you can
customization of
choose-
tanks
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff is so
like,
cool.
Like you could choose. How about you could choose like you can suffer from production penalty, but have better offense or defense or something. And like you can choose.
Yeah.
I guess that's too into it, but I just want more like what Technocrat was saying, more like specifics, like specialization. stuff.
Specializations, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the guy who builds the best guns, for example, and I want people to import from me.
And
Even if it's not the most guns, it's the best guns.
yeah, and because it's the best, you can price them higher and get more money from it.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
But people
if we're
still buy
talking
it.
pure game mechanics, the actual goods doesn't really need to be that much better, that much worse. It's just that they have a reputation.
Yeah.
So the people are
even that,
people are prepared to pay a premium for them. So you have
Yeah.
an export market. So they
True.
doesn't need to be more advanced than that, really.
I mean, I think what they'd have to do to implement that is just add. They'd have to add a new good for each like tier of quality. So
Yeah.
like you make different kinds of guns. So maybe there's like 3 different like
Well,
types.
Maybe you can just have a like quality variable in the good.
You could. That would
Be very complex.
That would be very taxing.
Yeah, because then it would be like you like imagine looking at the
Oh, that's
guns
true, yeah.
and seeing
That's
like
what I'm worried
say
about.
it's like 1 to 100 quality rating, and then it's 99
Well, not
versus
1 to 100.
98. I know, but
No, I
say
don't
it
mean 1
is,
to
right?
100. Just
I know.
like 1 to like tiers, different
Well, okay,
tiers.
so 1 to
like
10.
1 to 4, for example.
Oh, well, 1 to 4 is slightly different.
Yeah, because instead of
But
making new trade goods, you just have different qualities from 1 to 4, for example.
I think it probably have to
Well,
just be 1 to 3. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
There
swear
has to
there's
be a
something
way.
in the game already like that.
There
Sorry?
has to be a way to like differentiate the different qualities of goods, I guess, because that's not a
Mhm.
thing that exists.
No, that'd be really
No.
cool,
And
though.
No.
I think, yeah, I think that's like one of their biggest issues. But I don't know how they would do that, anyways.
There is a mechanic for I don't know what's the actual term, but like there like trade preferential, like trade weight or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if you have free trade, if you trade with that country, they will prioritize trading with you more so than other countries that doesn't have free trade. There's some mechanic in place, so you can just
Yeah.
use that and
Yeah,
say
trade
that.
away.
Yeah, exactly. So you should that you like. Well, I'm gonna iron, for example. Has an enormous trade weight with Sweden because well we know that shit is good, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be that complicated.
Oh,
Yeah. That would be so interesting. Because then each country, like, just that alone would give each country, like, its different flavor. Because you could be in a
yeah.
country with no real good production. But, like, one question that I do have is how would that end up developing throughout the game? Because you can obviously start with, like, we'll go with Sweden having good iron, but does it change depending on how long a country's been producing something? So say is one of the first to produce cars, does it get that extra weight or not?
I feel like you should just have like a production method change. Maybe there can be something
Maybe.
that boosts like the quality level, but like you can produce more of lower quality stuff, or you can produce less of higher quality stuff.
A bit like
Yeah.
luxury clothes, I guess.
That's honestly kind of what I was thinking, because you do have a system like this already, where you have like clothes and then luxury
That's
clothes.
true. That's true.
You've got furniture, then luxury furniture, and then you
Yeah.
do have that with military stuff as too, because you've got the basic guns, and then you've got artillery, and then you've got like
That's true.
munitions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
but
it kind of already exists.
But just not on a good
I guess
not on the scale.
the level. Yeah, not on the level that we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because
I think
difference
I wish
between
for
bad and good
military it was
furniture.
just like, I guess it is just tied to production method right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's the thing that bothers me. Like rifling, like when you enact rifling, you don't get better guns, you just get more guns. Which I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I know it's part of the game mechanics, but it's just I don't think it
Underwhelming.
should be
No,
that
true.
way. Yeah, it shouldn't be like that.
True. In all
Like, there should be
honesty,
a
I'd
trade-off.
expect it to go down.
Yeah,
If I
yeah,
was
exactly.
producing better
There should be a
guns.
trade-off where like you get better offense but less guns produced or something like that. Like that way you have
Cliff
you yeah, I don't know, even like some that way it's not like, oh yeah, it's next production method time, but that way it's like you have to choose what you want to do carefully.
Yeah.
The thing is also it's not that hard to mod in. In my military mod that I'm making, I have it so that each level of institution gives you more offense and defense. So 1, 2,
Wow.
3, 4, 5.
Oh.
So
Hey.
because it's basically military academies, right? So you
Oh, true.
increase the how much bureaucracy you spend on education, you get better officers, and that results
Yeah.
in better offense and defense. Like these modifiers already exists in the game. You're just slapping them on the right places.
That's true.
What if Victoria 3 had a war support system?
Yeah, I think that would
They
be.
should.
So like
Yeah.
the higher the war
Mhm.
support, like you get like
Oh,
bonuses to
yeah.
offense and defense, and if it's really low, you get like legitimacy issues.
Yeah.
You know.
And you should have to like pass the law or not law. You need to like, hey, I'm going to war, guys. Who in government supports me, type of thing. If you have the certain government type, that's kind
Yeah.
of like a trade-off between monarchy and parliament, for example.
That's true. That actually would make a lot, like if you were very authoritarian, it's much easier to like declare wars and like justify them versus like if you do liberalize, you like your people don't like when you just go off and declare wars all willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Victoria 2 had a sort of a jingoist system, so depending on how jingoist your population were, you could go to more wars and add more war goals and stuff. I don't know if that was particularly liked because you essentially gamed as much jingoism as you could. But
Yeah.
It needs to not be like you do this one thing for this one buff.
right.
It needs to have like trade-offs. Like you can do this or you can do this.
Yeah.
And
Or
they're
you
both
do this
equal
and
but
then
different.
this does something bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
It just feels like we want to play Hoy.
yep.
Kinda.
No, but it's what Vicky 3 needs is a mixture of many of Paradox games. Like it needs to take aspects from Vicky 2, from what I'm hearing. It needs to take aspects from EU4 and aspects from Hearts of Iron 4. Because and I think Chum said earlier, I can't remember which recording it was, but about the people maybe having some extra traits, but that's a different. That's I guess a CK3 thing.
I think there just needs to be a lot more like I can get this benefit if I'm willing to give up this.
Mhm.
Opportunity cost, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, and trade-offs and choices. Like I choose a direction for my country, which means I have to give up other things, just not everything.
I don't think there should be like one end goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude,
that would make the game so much better.
It would. It definitely would.
100%.
Holy crap.
And I do think they're trying to go that direction because I have noticed a lot of like France now has its armed forces have a unique bonus when they're loyal, where instead of doing the typical like 10% offense, 10% defense, they have 15% offense. So if you keep France, their military, interest group, if you keep them happy and powerful, you get a 30% offense advantage. Which is really strong. Plus, if you get like a good general, you can get that up to like another 20%, and then with like mobilization methods is another 10%. So you can almost like get like a 60 to 70% offensive advantage, and stuff like that is good. I want to be able to do stuff like that.
Well, here's the thing. We were also talking about well, we were talking about this earlier. How
interest groups,
the interest groups. The bonuses are kind of like
hidden. Is that what we came up with?
It's hidden and it's very like hard to maintain, which I guess makes sense. It makes sense that it's hard to maintain, but it's
you maintain it with standard of living.
Yeah.
Well, even like for example, like keeping the armed forces in charge. Like, I guess it makes sense, but I feel like there could be a better way of having like even a better screen of where to show that information. Because right now, as it is,
just some better UI.
I don't even pay attention to that because it's just such a bother sometimes.
Yeah, I think that the bonuses and I think interest groups should become a lot less powerful if they're not in the government. Because right now it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
an interest group that doesn't want a law to pass is just as powerful in the government than it is out of the government, and that's dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes I don't like I have oligarchy on, right? And even though this makes sense because it's population wise and clout wise and whatever, but the fact that the intelligentsia that aren't in my government are constantly making changes because they get like constant agitator help because I'm late game, but I'm late game because like I'm only doing this late game because this is the video. But I get why, but it just sometimes annoys me. The fact that like I know civil wars make the game fun, but
civil wars are way too prevalent right now.
Yeah,
they turn up every 5 minutes.
They do, and
and they're just annoying.
They are annoying. Well, okay, the fact that you game over if you lose a civil war is like actually the dumbest thing in the whole game.
Yeah, you should just
Yeah,
play
yeah, you
as
should
the
just
thing.
become them.
It'd be different if you got like puppeted or whatever by a foreign country, but
You should just switch to the government that you didn't want to play as. That should be
Yeah.
the punishment. So now you tried to pass a law, you failed, you lost the Civil War, and now you have no support for the law that you wanted to pass. That is punishment enough.
yeah,
I thought that is how it worked.
No, you game over if you lose the Civil War.
I think it has been so long I lost the Civil War.
yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
lost a
it
civil
is-
war in a
it
long
is-
time.
It's a really dumb system, and I
Okay.
feel like it's not even like a hard fix, to be honest.
I think you can change to the other side if you want, though, right?
You can,
Yeah,
you
you
can just switch sides
can.
of the Civil War.
But I mean, even if you lose, like, you still game over, right? So
Yeah. If you lose the Civil War, you get annexed, and you get a game over.
Yeah.
Even if you switch sides, it's a dumb system.
The thing is, civil wars are so like they don't matter half the time because you can just call in Great Britain from the other side of the world to come in and clean up. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like civil wars also, like you guys said, they happen so much that it's so annoying.
Too much.
It should be like something where it's like not so common, but it's like devastating. And I
Yeah.
remember we were talking about this earlier. The technocrat was talking about this, but civil war should be like the country killer, and you
Yeah.
should not recover it for like years.
Because,
Civil
yeah.
Wars should not be like okay, so like the Spanish Civil War and Hoi 4, that's what I feel like more Civil War should be.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You get
yeah.
stuck for
it needs to break
years.
more stuff and not just be like, oh, this side versus this side, who wins?
And then you get a
know, like-
modifier at the end that cripples everything, like
Yeah.
literally the way the Spanish Civil War is in
recovering
Hearts
from
of Iron
Civil
4.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
you can't re-enter because your population hates you. Like re-enter any wars because your
Yeah.
population hates you, etc. Because realistically, if you go in a civil war, that means half the population hates you, right?
Yep.
So that should mean that things are more difficult. But instead, you get the law, and people just seem to forget about it.
Yep.
But
No, I really do think Civil Wars, they should be both like more devastating and less in the terms that they don't make you game over, but they do like it should be preferable to go bankrupt than to have a civil war, in my opinion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because as it is right now, like they might delete some buildings or they might change
Yeah.
the production methods or whatever, but like it's not like as it is right now. Like sometimes civil wars are actually preferable because like changing
Yeah.
some important laws might take just too much time.
So
and
you just
like,
swap sides.
Yeah. So you
You want to know something? I think. I
Yes,
think
that's the whole point.
devastation should reduce building levels.
Yes, me too.
That makes
Me
sense,
too.
though. Yeah.
I agree. You should be starting from 0 if you get like destroyed.
100%
like that.
devastation.
Yeah.
If
I
devastation's so
definitely
bad,
get that.
then state gets refreshed, kind of thing.
I think it
Yeah,
should
I believe
destroy
that.
industrial buildings, but leave resources and agriculture. Maybe
Yeah,
not
but-
leave them like
I-
completely, but
I'm
like
curious though. What if they added? Would you be happy if they added like a destructed buildings that then got repaired in like half the time because it's
I mean,
been destroyed?
yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I guess
yeah,
so.
that would work.
Because that's a bit like the way Hearts of Iron works. Like
Hmm.
well,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
definitely
half the
believe that
time,
too, though.
but because otherwise, then I know we just said civil war should be crippling, but otherwise that is crippling, like majorly
that also-
crippling.
yeah.
You
I mean,
would just end
that's
up being
also-
an agrarian government by the end of it.
Yeah, that's true. And that also like adds more consequence to the wars too.
Yeah.
Foreign wars. Where if they invade you, it's not like, oh no.
And if
what am
I
gonna do?
occupy
It's
you
like,
for long enough,
yeah,
then
they're
damn,
destroying
you've
you.
got no factories anymore.
Yeah.
What if you could say to your generals, like the way you've got
Yeah.
like aggressive like offensives and shit,
Mhm.
like what if you could say as a separate thing, maybe devastate as much as possible, so they won't attack, maybe they
Instead
just
of the
defend,
pillage.
but they just sit there
Oh,
and they
yeah.
destroy buildings and stuff, because
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's
could
a genius
destroy an
idea.
economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's genius.
And that adds more like it fixes like the peace deal system we were talking about earlier, where they
Yeah,
like,
because you
oh, you
yeah,
have to
'cause
take
you-
the capital, But if I damage you
Yeah.
economically, if you take enough economic damage,
Uh-huh.
you just bail out.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
that
that's
gives you, as the player, like, oh, am I willing to take this damage to my economy to
Yeah.
win this war?
And
Like-
and
Yeah,
ho-
that's
and hopefully
genius.
the AI thinks the same, like so that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Britain or whatever doesn't jump into a war across the globe that they have nothing to do with, because like having a war is actually real consequences.
Yeah.
That's genius. That's actually
Yeah.
genius. I would add if okay, I changed my mind. That's what I would add. Honestly.
Bro, how have we just whipped up like some
Yeah.
sick idea
We're
within like
cooking.
we are actually
Yeah.
cooking. Like Paradox should
Dude,
actually
that's
watch this
actually
video.
really good. Yeah, that's
Let
actually
them cook.
really good.
Let them cook.
True.
Yeah, no, that really
Oh.
just like the war system I think needs to be changed, but not like the actual like front lines, like the peace deal and like what makes a country bail out of a war.
Yeah.
Because also
Yeah.
like say, you know, you want to like invade a country and you want to take a state from them. Well, as you like conquer, maybe that state gets devastated and it's not as worth it to that country anymore. So they're like, all right, you know, you can have this. So maybe you have the choice to be like, hey, I'm going to take this state after this war. I can end this war faster if I devastate this country and make it not worth it to them.
Yeah.
If I just want to end the war fast. But like if I actually want this state to like stay nice, then maybe you can be like, hey, I don't want to like devastate this place.
Oh, that's so true.
Guys, we've
But then
actually
maybe the
cooked.
AI fights harder for them.
Yeah.
Maybe you
That's
can
so
have
good.
you can have scorched earth tactics where you get the
Yep.
bonus to
Yeah.
defense, but you you burn
Yeah.
your own factories. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
good. Dude, that's
I think
Like
know,
there's
it-
so many things that could just
Well,
be
yeah, you-
implemented.
because you know how infrastructure like impacts battles and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Why
you
can't I
could
destroy
choose
it?
to burn your own
Yeah.
infrastructure, and
Yeah.
then like oh man, that's genius.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much more strategy that could happen.
And
All right, here,
I know this is even more in depth, but if you're going to be destroying buildings, then you're going to be destroying population in that state as well, right? So what
Yeah.
if you could evacuate that population?
Oh dang, that'd be kind
Ooh,
of cool.
Evacuation edict.
Yeah, where you
Where- what-
literally say,
Mhm.
shit, we're on the front line, everyone get out,
Oh, that'd be kind of
because
cool, man.
because it's otherwise you lose like well, not everyone in the state, because people are going to survive. Like I know this is going even more in depth, but like prisoners of war, bro, imagine
Dude, yes.
and they just nick
I
your
love Prisoners of
population.
War.
No,
That's so good. That's
no,
such a good
I
idea.
think that might be a little bit too in depth for Vicky,
Not-
but I
yeah,
definitely
not
feel
the
like
Prisoners of
maybe
War.
just devastation, actually devastating buildings and population levels could be huge.
Yeah.
Like evacuating
I'm-
maybe a
I'm-
bit far, but
Dude, I low-key
Evacuation
actually
is
really
good.
want an evacuation edict.
Yeah.
So
When
do
you
I
stay
now.
on a state, and
Yeah.
it reduces the population, or not population, the migration attraction in
Migration?
that state, and then
Yeah.
boosts every state around it that you own.
Dude,
Yes.
dude, that was a good idea, Smithy.
thank you.
I mean-
Send that to Paradox right now.
I mean, isn't that also realistic? Right? Like,
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
if you're being invaded by the Russians and like, oh yeah, they're going to win.
Get
That
out.
would
Get
cause
out,
a mass,
leave.
like
Yeah.
like that would cause like
Literally
Sweden.
Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
And then
like
if you don't have railways in the state, or if you don't have cars, or if you don't have the infrastructure, then it takes double the time for, or like however long extra
Mhm.
time for that population to get out. And then if they end up getting the state, boom, your population
lose
starts
it.
dying.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I don't know how much population would have to die for it to be not too absurd, but also damaging enough. But really does feel like devastation right now is not enough.
Devastation
Because-
right now pretty much only kills construction time, and population mortality gets increased by a lot.
right.
I can
Yeah.
confirm this because of my recording
True,
session where
yeah.
I fully occupied Austria for 30 years.
Dude,
But yeah, I don't know.
that's genius, guys. We're on to something.
Imagine if you could evacuate a population. That'd be crazy.
All right, here's
That would be
another
so
idea.
cool.
I do not like the prestige system that is currently in the game at all.
True.
Oh.
No.
I don't even.
I propose splitting it into two separate metrics where you have your like power projection, which is like what prestige is now, and then have a separate like actual prestige modifier, which is basically how like good is your country.
Yeah. Because at the
So,
moment,
like,
it doesn't feel like Britain will always have like huge prestige because
Yeah.
they just sort of get extra stuff because they're Britain. It annoys me because I
Yeah.
can't get to number
But no,
one.
like I think you should lose prestige for like high levels of infamy, declaring wars. Because it's like
Yeah,
I feel like prestige should be like how good, like ideal of a country are you viewed as on the world stage.
that makes
yeah.
it makes more sense. Even the word prestige is like opinion based, right? So
Yeah, it is. So like
I also-
you know, you get buffs to migration attraction for you know having high prestige, and prestige can be affected by things like standard of living and literacy rate instead
Yeah,
of just
I
how
agree.
many troops do you have.
for people watching, this video was not scripted. This is all just us thinking on the spot.
This
These
is me
idea-
thinking over the past 2 years.
Damn, these are being. He needed this. He needed this video.
My friends have heard me rant about changes I'd make to Victoria 3.
Now everyone else couldn't hear it.
Now everyone can hear it.
I don't know why I'm still stuck hung up about evacuating states and devastation being.
I think that's a cool idea. I feel like it should just be like a state edict that's locked behind being at war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
And-
you're at war, you
Honestly,
can use it. If not,
yeah.
you can't.
I think
Yeah.
those changes would really revolutionize the game.
Especially
warfare,
especially destruction
Like,
of buildings, I
destroying
reckon.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
That would change the game forever. Like,
It
it's
would.
such a small thing, but it's crazy.
Because you like
That is such a
imagine
small thing.
we shouldn't have gone back to it, but imagine like you're sitting there, they've just captured some of your land, and you watch those like factories you just spent, I don't know, loads of your construction and time on just disappear, and your population slowly declines, and you can just set it so that those generals, like say you're on the other side, are actually actively trying to ruin the state. Because obviously if you're winning massively, you don't need to just sit there and destroy the economy, you can just go for the win. But if you're like pretty matched countries, then taking a state
True.
taking
That's
a state
true.
is a lot, like
Yeah.
can take some time. So devastation could be like a new way of winning, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like the devastation change idea a lot, really. I think it should take longer to build up devastation because right now it's really
Yeah. That's true.
And
Because you don't
I
want
think,
factories to just disappear within the first like week. Like it should take a little bit of time.
you know, like if you're just running like a regular infantry, maybe you can't really make that much devastation because your dudes just aren't destructive enough. But as you start getting stuff like artillery and tanks, then you
Yeah.
can really cause.
Oh, tanks will just
Dude,
roll in and destroy your country.
That changes see, that would change how you play like the warfare
Yeah.
too. Because
I'd
in the
actually
beginning,
research
you would just-
warfare if it devastated more.
in the
Because
beginning,
now I
you
just
would
don't
go
bother.
straight for the war goal, but then at the end you would like change your tactics.
But isn't that a thing though? Like gas and flamethrower and stuff gives more.
It is, but like who?
Yeah, but it
actually
doesn't do
plays that
anything.
far
yeah,
into
yeah,
the game?
yeah. That's too late. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it-
the
and it-
performance
yeah.
isn't good enough to play that far. But no, it is definitely a thing. Devastation and adjustments. I just think devastation should do more.
Bro, this episode of the podcast, we've cooked so much. Like,
I know.
even just within the last half an hour, the ideas are just running through us.
Dude, this is how long has it been? How long has it
2
been?
hours 20.
Oh, that's not bad.
Bro, White is gonna hate me. Hey, here's another one.
I think countries should gain infamy for getting involved in wars.
Yeah.
So, like, if Great Britain
True.
just sides against you in a war for
Yeah.
like an obligation, that should give them infamy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I also think infamy should do more.
I think so too.
In
Right
what
now
way
it's
though?
just, like-
Because that one's a difficult one.
I think infamy. The problem with
Well,
infamy is that
okay.
it's really just a diplomatic thing. And
Yeah,
it gives
well,
you more
imagine like
radicals
Yeah.
in conquest.
imagine like you have like 100 infamy. Like, what's the worst that happens? People hate you.
I think it should reduce your migration attraction.
It should reduce that. It should be like people embargo you everywhere. Like it should be serious repercussion. Like look at Russia nowadays. Like people are embargoing Russia, putting sanctions on them and everything. Like it should be like really bad.
I think if you go really high in for me, they can do like a pseudo coalition cut down to size war.
Yeah, cut down to size.
Like that,
but you have to go to
basically
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you have to be actively trying to get that high.
Right.
Yeah. By that time, you're too strong, basically.
Yeah.
But you do get some malices, like more radicals, more
radicals from Conquest.
Right. But it's not. That's not.
Which means you can just subjugate people and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Which is what I do anyway, because like I cannot be bothered anymore to have actual states that just gives me problems.
That's fair.
Yeah. I am not a fan of how hard it is to annex subjects.
Neither.
I'm also not a fan of that people are not unincorporated territories are basically tax havens. I don't think that's how it works.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's actually true. Like, how come they should be paid? Like, they should be paying 100% tax, not no tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people in the Congo. If I conquer you, I'm sorry, but I'm taking all your cash.
I
Look,
literally have.
You either get put on the slave trade or you get taxed.
Yo, what the heck?
Your inner Britain is showing.
Yeah, that's
we either sell you to America or you get taxed.
That's the Victoria 3 terminology coming.
Yeah.
That's just,
it's so clip worthy. Victoria 3. It's like it's like CK3. I'm gonna marry my sister mother. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry my auntie. Thank you. Anyways.
In real life?
No. In CK3.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. It's all planned out. Don't worry about it.
But like that, I never understood that. Like, I literally I played the Scandinavia game today, and I was the second highest standard of living. The first one was Swedish Nigeria.
Yeah.
Like,
because you don't tax them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They can buy whatever they want because the capitalists and aristocrats that own all of the plantations get filthy rich, and then they just we don't pay any taxes because that's how it works. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But I've been told my 3.5 hour long video is a bit long to edit in one sitting.
All right, give him 2 sittings.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Goodbye. And I also told them they got less time because I want to do another video for Sunday. These are just like extras.
Get back on the grind.
I got a video to record tomorrow for 2 weeks' time. That we're cooking. These videos are actually going to be helpful. By the way, this is going to go out in like a couple weeks on my channel because I can't force myself or anyone else to edit them.
You just edit yourself. Oh, fine.
No, I don't want to edit them. I sat through the conversations. I don't want to sit through them again.
Do they? Are you gonna edit them heavily though?
Sorry? No. But like, I mean, I just look. If I can get an editor to do it, I'll get an editor to do it.
Because
they can do what they like.
My thought that I was gonna like edit the beginning and the end, and I'll keep all of the middle parts.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cut anything out. Don't worry. What's gonna happen is it will just be like some
cut the pauses. Actually, no, don't.
No, I feel like the pauses sometimes work. Like when we're all thinking, just sitting here dead. And this will be in the video. So anyone watching, hi. Subscribe.
Hi.
I mean, it's podcast content, right? Like, people
Yeah,
want that kind of natural pauses because this is something people have in the background and just
True.
or sleep to optimally.
Hey, what are you calling
sleeping?
this?
Grats.
I'm gonna just clickbait it. Toby hates on Paradox for 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
No, I got no idea about the titles. I can't lie. I'm just gonna wing it.
The podcast doesn't have a title.
Also,
Like,
thumbnails. I still got no idea. We'll figure it out.
Victoria 3 content creators destroy Paradox in one battle.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put
Yes.
Toby's face and then go cancelled in big text.
Toby's face. Toby's face.
Nah, as in like his logo. I mean his logo.
That's such good thumbnails.
It's
I,
a,
That's a good-
I've
I actually
not
could,
even
couldn't
made
I?
it yet.
Actually, could.
You're
Yes.
like, your biggest Victoria 3 creator cancelled.
Oh, bro.
It-
let me
it's,
get I got a quick screenshot of his Discord thing. Let me just send it to you guys.
And then put like text
Right.
bubbles. If you
Right,
say-
editor,
saying
cut this
something
out
bad.
because that
Yeah.
just showed me that just showed Louis' conversation. Good lad. Right.
Oh yes.
it's just an image of a boxing match, and on one head it's the Paradox logo, and the other.
No, I
it's
just sent like I just sent a screenshot of what like of Toby's logo or whatever it's called. No, if you don't want me to, just let me know and I'll do it.
No, I need to stay on like good terms with Paradox, and I know
Yeah.
Do it on-
I know they don't love when you just like shit on all their ideas.
Alright, you can do
Whoops.
my favorite thing.
Oopsie. No, that's why I want to do a lot of like what I just wish was in the game. Instead
we-
of, like
We haven't chat on too
No,
much,
no,
have we?
a lot
No,
of the
we're not-
problem
yeah.
with Victoria 3 is just that there's not enough stuff in it.
Yeah. None of the actual stuff that's
Yeah.
in there
Yeah, we're
is
not actually, like-
terrible. We love the game.
No.
We otherwise we wouldn't be making videos on it.
right.
So
Yeah, totally.
Chum,
Yeah.
trying to get us on the bad books, man.
Dude,
I definitely
listen,
didn't pick Victoria 3 to do YouTube on just because it was a new game coming out that I hadn't played yet.
Bro.
Yeah.
No. I picked
I would
Victoria
never do
3.
that.
Or was it
No,
just
to be
because the
fair-
videos got views? Who knows?
I picked
Yeah.
Victoria 3 because I wanted to make a YouTube channel and it was a new game coming out.
Hey, the truth.
Yeah.
And because you love Victoria 3. Right, Paradox? Yes.
Yeah, no, Victoria 3 is a good game. And like we've talked about all the other games, all the other Paradox games, we've explained our opinions below. It's half 9 and I've been sitting on calls for like probably 10 hours now.
I mean, we've been doing this for like 2.5 hours.
I feel like
Yeah,
we end it soon because I'm starting to get tired.
I mean,
Sorry,
it's
guys.
pretty much ended because the conversation's gone completely off rail.
True.
Yeah.
I might just stop it and then get future me to record something.